I will now call this meeting to order. Board member Joy Naylor will be joining us on Zoom. We have a quorum. I will identify closed session topics. Recommended expulsions, recommended suspended expulsions, public employee assignment, reassignment, appointment, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, complaints, conference with labor negotiator, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, conference with real property negotiators, conference with real property negotiators, 2.8, anticipated litigation, and public employee performance evaluation. Is there any comment on closed session topics today? None? We'll adjourn to closed session. Welcome. We'll now convene the regular session. Board member Joy Naylor is joining us via Zoom from 1415 South Stover Street, Visalia. I'd like to welcome our student board representative, Brel Alvarez from Redwood High School. Welcome. Okay, I'd like to introduce the interpreter. Linguistica Interpreting and Translation will serve as a Spanish interpreter for this meeting. Meeting attendees who would like to listen to the Spanish interpretation of the meeting, please pick up headphones from the table located in the back of the meeting room. This announcement will now be shared in Spanish.
Lingüística Interpreting and Translation servirá como intérprete al español para esta reunión. Invitamos a los asistentes de la reunión que desean escuchar la interpretación al español, el ir por audífonos a la mesa ubicada al fondo de esta sala de reuniones. Gracias.
This meeting is being webcast live and recorded. The recording or webcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. Any member of the public wanting to provide public comment on items listed in tonight's agenda, please fill out the public comment form. It's a green form located on the table in the back of the room. Please hand your form to the administrative assistant, Delia Smart, before the item comes up on the agenda. Please fill out a separate form for each agenda item you'd like to comment on. Members of the public providing public comment, please use the microphone on the stand located in the front of the room. Will be the one in the middle. Tonight, our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Board Clerk Walter Gamonia.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There was no action taken in closed session. There are revised meeting handouts for this evening's meeting. They are enclosures number 5, 16, and 29. Our next item on the agenda is general public comment. General public comment on any school-related topic may be heard at this time. The board asks that any public comment on an item listed on tonight's agenda be addressed at the time the item comes up for discussion by the board. Pursuant to board policy, the board may limit individual comments to no more than 3 minutes and individual topics to 20 minutes. It is recommended you begin your comments by stating your name. Okay, I have 2 green sheets. Mr. Joseph Beaton.
Good evening. I am Joseph Beaton, hospital laboratory scientist, area 7 resident, and the father of a kindergartner. In June of 2021, the CDPH announced that forced masking would continue, and our school administrators forced me and 6 other people watching our kids get swim lessons to mask up while sitting outdoors next to an Olympus-sized swimming pool. 2 weeks before, a school principal raced in a golf cart across an empty football field to force my wife to wear a mask while walking across the field. The county case rate through the entire month of June 2021 was never higher than 2 cases per 100,000 residents. On February 28, 2022, when the state announced mask optional guidance, the county case rate was 18 cases per 100,000 residents. Does anyone still think that the decisions to force masks on our children are guided by health, science, and medicine? If you think this, please don't share your ignorance or corruption publicly. At the board meeting on January 2025, when the case rate was 217 cases per 100,000 residents, I publicly predicted that the case rates on March 1 would inspire the board to immediately make masks optional. On March 3, the board voted unanimously to remove forced masking from district schools. You're welcome. I've been presenting accurate coronavirus statistics and predictions at every school board meeting since June. The research that I share on my Facebook page is the most comprehensive coronavirus studies offered in Tulare County. Lacking any research of their own, every board member stopped responding to my emails in August. The board has relied completely on the awful advice of politically and financially motivated local public health officials and lawyers. Not one of the people in a position of authority are ever presented to answer the questions of parents or students. This board is obviously embarrassed by their past performance, and this embarrassment has manifested as censorship and denial of transparency. As I have mentioned in several board meetings, the board erases the YouTube video of every board meeting 30 days after each meeting. The motto of Visalia Unified is "We create futures." This motto should be changed to "We eliminate history." At the end of the meeting 2 weeks ago, parents are advised that the important parts of the meetings are the action items of the board. This must be disappointing to the community that volunteers their time and wisdom to speak during public comment and to the staff and students that receive awards at board meetings. Our contributions and accomplishments are clearly viewed as non-essential and time-consuming. I am here to correct this condescending star chamber that the opinions of students and parents are the most important part of this school district. I predict the vote to preserve the videos will fail 2 votes to 5. On November 8th, voters will get a chance to replace 5 of these board members, and erasing YouTube videos won't help the reputations of the current board. If you want a school board that will vote to make masks optional forever, please join the Facebook group, Tulare County Parents for School Board. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? None? We'll move on to our first item on the agenda. That would be enclosure number 1. Visalia Unified School District students matriculation to College of Sequoias. Presenter would be Dr. Brent Calvin, College of Sequoias. Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us at the College of the Sequoias. That was a fun evening. Look forward to doing it again soon. Thank you for carving out some time for me this evening. I'll walk us through just a few updates on the college itself, and then we'll jump right into some data regarding our shared students. Well, I guess I'm in charge of this thing. Uh-oh. So you know our board. Those that had not met our board, met them 2 weeks ago. John Lane from Hanford is our board president. Ken Nunes from Tulare is our board vice president. Raymond Macareno represents parts of Visalia, Farmersville, Woodlake, and Cutler-Arosi. Lori Cardoza and Greg Sherman, both former board presidents, one representing Tulare and the other one Visalia. I shared with you kind of the hubbub regarding the new construction on Mooney Boulevard. This is it, the Educational Support Services Building. It'll be open for the fall of 23 semester. We're excited about this. It'll consolidate all of our tutorial, writing lab, math lab, and so forth into one place for our students, right at the corner of Mooney and Meadow. It's also, you'll notice, a departure from our normal architecture. So we hope that goes well. We're excited about the design, but it certainly will stand out on our campus. Here's another shot. Another shot. Another shot. And here's the indoors. There's a classroom. I know Mr. Villegas is excited. He'll probably get a class in there at some point. Here's our lobby, plenty of orange and blue. I'm trying to convince the planners to get me an office in there. I'd love to have an orange and blue office for once. I'm surrounded by 1940s wood paneling. Let me see here. We were able to walk the field together. Obviously that turf is already there, but we'll have stands for the fall 2023 season, seat about 3,000. And we'll still need to partner with the school district on some of those big night games like Fresno City College, but we think this will be a lot of fun for our fans to come out for Saturday afternoon games. Those murals are already done. It's a great day to be a Giant. That's kind of one of our catchphrases at the College of the Sequoias. And then this was, we were recognized in the last year for being an equity champion by the Campaign for College Opportunity. This is big for us because it recognizes us for the number of Hispanic students that transfer to CSUs on the strength of associate degrees for transfer. You'll recall that we've talked about the ADTs before, and they've been a game changer for all of our students to transfer to being guaranteed transfer status to CSUs. So you finish an ADT with us with at least a 2.5 GPA is where it started. I think it's 2.8 now, but you're guaranteed admission into a CSU. What a fabulous program. What a fabulous guarantee for our students coming in to know this is my contract. I've got 60 units. I keep a 2.8 and I'm guaranteed admission into a CSU. It really has been great. We were recognized for the number of Latinx students that we transfer on to CSUs through the ADT program. think that's my last COS slide. So now I want to jump right into the data regarding our students. And the first one is just the total number of students. And I don't think anybody should be surprised that during a pandemic, our enrollment dropped a little bit. You see from fall 2020 to fall 2021, we're down about 500 students from your district to ours. That's consistent with really our experience across our district right now. Some students have just chosen to sit out a semester or two, based primarily maybe on their experience with remote learning. They're just not crazy about it. And for the fall of 2021 semester, we were largely remote, with the exception of our career classes and police and fire academies and so forth. There's a chart down below where you can see the distribution of those students. And again, we're down overall, but we're also down first-time students, continuing students, returning students, and first-time transfers, as well as our dual enrollment dipped a little bit. We're not terribly concerned there. We think it'll all bounce back once we get back to more of a normal ratio of in-person to online classes. This next slide shows the number of, or the percentage of full-time students. This is big for us. We feel like the potential for success is substantially higher for full-time students. That's why we offer so many on-campus jobs, why we invest heavily in co-curricular activities, band, choir, drama, athletics, clubs, because we really feel like if students can, and also financial aid, I should have thrown that in there. We feel like if students can be supported on campus, stay there longer days, take full schedule, they're going to be that much more successful. If they let it drag out 4, 5, 6 years to try to accomplish 60 units or 2 years worth of community college courses, they may not make it out. So the higher that number, the better. 73% of your first-time students were full-time with us last year. And you can see the distribution of the top 10 declared majors down the bottom there. Again, psychology, business administration, and administration of justice continue to be very, very popular majors. Moving along. This talks about the percentage of students that place directly into transfer level English and math courses. You saw that from the fall of 2018 through the fall of 2019, we saw a significant jump. That was as a result of AB 705, which we've talked about here in the past, that requires us to place our students based on their experience in high school, not only overall GPA, but their experience in English or math classes, as opposed to that one placement test that most of us probably took, right? You take it sometime midsummer. Sometimes you've been out a little bit too late the night before, or you're a little bit, you have some test anxiety or whatever. And all of a sudden that dictates your entire college experience. You start a level or two below transfer level, and it's a real hole to climb out of. AB 705 has corrected that. It obviously allows us to place most of our students at transfer level English and math. And we think it's a good thing. It's not without its drawbacks as well, but we think that's a good thing to give every student a swinging chance at passing transfer level English and math. The next slide is unique, frankly. In a pandemic, we saw most of our districts slip a little bit in terms of course success. Visalia Unified was able to inch up a little bit, 70% overall, which is fabulous. During a pandemic, when so many of our classes were offered remote, to see your district students tick up a bit to 70% overall, that was very encouraging for us to see. And then finally, you see that we did almost hit a high watermark last spring for number of graduates and number of awards for those graduates, eclipsed only by the spring of 2019. So we were excited about that. And then down at the bottom left-hand side, you see what those awards were in. Again, psychology, administration of justice, and business administration were not only popular majors to go into, but popular for graduation as well. So I would say that our partnership remains strong. The students that we either work together with in dual enrollment, or the students that you give us a warm handoff on are continuing to thrive. And I think we can expect even more of that once this pandemic subsides. Happy to answer any questions that you might have of me at this point.
Any board members have any questions or comments? Ms. Gamonian?
Back on slide 10,
Mhm.
it says that 100% of our students didn't require the support math class. Does that mean 100% of our students that came in were prepared in math?
That's correct. Under the new AB 705. Yeah,
Well,
that's fabulous.
If I can clarify that the law essentially got rid of those sort of remedial classes or got
No.
rid of that exam essentially. So
Well, I know that, but
Uh-huh.
they usually come in and they'll get a support class, right?
With there,
Right.
sometimes there's required support. You're
Yeah.
right.
And they
that's the
didn't have
difference.
to, it looks like.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Right.
amazing.
Yep.
Good
And then
job,
on the
teachers.
English side, 84%, which is still
Yeah, right.
fabulous. That doesn't mean that any of these students could not enroll in one of these transfer level classes
Right,
with support if they chose to.
right.
And Math Lab, Writing Center is open to all students regardless of what class they're in. So the support is still there, but they're not required to take it as they would if maybe their GPA was a little bit lower coming out of high school.
So then would we have to look at the data, how many actually pass?
Yes, that's an important one as well.
Yeah,
And we can also do the math. I won't do it here tonight, but the thinking is you can take a class 2 times at this point. So if you fail it, you can come back and take it. And so before, when there was a lot of our students, over half of our students would test into 2 levels below transfer level English or math. And if you take any percentage pass fail in that first class, and then that, let's say it's 50%, that 50% moves on and maybe 50% of them pass the 1 level below transfer level. So now you're working with 25% of your original, and you move into transfer level and let's say another 50%. So now you've got a total of 12.5% of your original total that have passed transfer level English or math. In this scenario, nearly 100% are in transfer level English and math. And our scores are more in the 50 to 60% right off the bat. So it's substantially higher, even though I don't think any of us are happy with even that number. You know, we don't want to leave half of our students behind, but it's certainly better than leaving 87.5% of our students behind. And those are just rough numbers off the top of my head, and I wasn't a math major, so don't audit me.
thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments?
sure.
I
So,
had, oh, go ahead.
oh, please.
I had a question about, and I think you touched on it when we did the tour, that the extended kind of what you guys are building out there on that area to allow for 4-year degrees. I'm trying to think how to phrase this. It's like jumbled in my head. Will our students, like VUSD students, will they have access to any of those classes in high school, or are those kind of like upper grad classes, so they would have to do their kind of AA stuff through COS before they would be eligible for
That's the
those?
case.
Okay.
Let me give just a little context to our viewers that maybe weren't at our visit. On the corner of Shady and Tulare, just across Meadow from our current campus, on the south side of our campus, actually, we currently offer a Fresno State campus, and it's our old Child Development Center. We've repurposed that as the Fresno State Center, and currently they offer 4-degree programs with a 5th one coming in the fall. It's been wildly successful. And it's really our opinion that there's never going to be a CSU or a UC in Tulare County. And that's unfortunate because we're the largest county in the state, I believe, without a UC or CSU. And I think we all know that UC ship sailed back in the early 2000s when we came down as a finalist with Merced, and Merced got it. Still don't agree with that decision, but they got it. We need to move on. We're not going to get a CSU anytime soon, being nestled between Bakersfield, and Fresno. So if we want a publicly funded four-year university in our region, I think we, collectively, the residents of this region need to do it. And if the College of the Sequoias, as the higher education entity in this region, if we're not going to care about it, who is going to care about it? So that's why we've invested over $5 million in buying the 3 apartment complexes to the south of our property, as well as the open lot at the corner of Tulare and Mooney, as well as that first building in that strip mall. We've invested, again, over $5 million in purchasing all that for the express purpose of eventually building a university center that would allow us to expand our relationship with Fresno State, allow them to increase the number of programs, as well as cohorts within the 5 programs they have: business, teacher prep, coupled with a credential. In 2 years, by the way, you go to Fresno State after COS or West Hills, it'll take you 3.5 years to get through your liberal studies degree and get a credential. At our place, it's a 2-year investment and you're done. Nursing, RN to BSN. Coming in the fall will be our criminology degree, administration of justice. And then, I'm sorry, it's the fall of 2023 that our ag business and or water technology will be online. So they've committed to either expanding those programs or even offering some new ones. Those are the 5 most popular programs, by the way, for South Valley students at the Fresno campus. So we didn't just pick those names out of, or those degrees out of a hat. They were by design. We took those 5. We feel like we can, right off the bat, there's demand for at least double of what we currently supply at the Fresno State Center. We're looking forward to doing that in the near future. The partnerships don't have to stop at Fresno State. Now that's our go-to partner right now, but certainly UC Merced. There's also some privates that have expressed interest. I think it'll be a very exciting time for the College of the Sequoias and this region as a whole to have a university center within our city limits. So thank you for that.
Mr. Villegas.
Yeah, one more of a comment. I think AB 705 sort of also shows us that, if we set an expectation for students, right, that they will push and they will meet it. So I'm looking forward to continued conversations around math in our own district. My question, and I don't know if there's any data for this, but specifically for students, VUSD students or high school students in general, who are either dual enrolled or concurrently enrolled, do we have any data that looks at whether or not they tend to utilize supports, given that they have supports both through our district and through COS? Is there any data that indicates that they tend to use, let's say, COS's math lab, tutoring, et cetera, services versus our high school services, or is it a combination of both? Just looking at, as we are serving students who are in these classes and dual enrolled or concurrently enrolled, looking at where can we offer the best sorts of supports and where are they utilizing those supports?
That's a great question, Mr. Villegas, and we may have to dig into that deeper. My guess is that for the dual enrolled, most of which are offered on high school campuses, students rely on high school support services versus the concurrently enrolled students are either online right now, which is not perfect, or on our actual campus. And my guess is if they were going to access COS support services, it would be with the concurrently enrolled. But that'd be interesting to dig into that and find out. I further suspect that the support services are underutilized. We find that out a lot, that students don't do optional very often. And so quite often you got to make things mandatory if you want students to show up, at least at the community college level.
Any other questions or comments? So do we have a number of how many students are in dual enrollment or in concurrent enrollment?
That was in the slides, and let me find that for you, President Guerrero, because it had dipped a little bit. I think last year we were up to as many as 445, it looks like. And this year it dipped to 387. And that is on
Slide
8.
Slide 8.
Thank you, Walter.
Okay.
Walter must have numbered her slide before she walked in here. She's the efficient one. Will you number mine next year when I come to present, Walter?
Okay, well, thank you. Any other questions? Are there any questions from the public? Comments? Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Calvin.
Thank you
for
very
coming
much. I
over here.
appreciate it.
Dr.
While I have a
Calvin.
moment, can I just congratulate Superintendent Cardoza on a job well done? I probably won't
Yes.
see you before you ride off into the sunset on some bronking bull or something like that, but congratulations on a job well done. Appreciate you all and thanks
Thank
for
you.
everything you do.
Thank you, sir. Our next item on the agenda is spotlight on good things happening in the district. Interim Superintendent Doug Cardoza.
Good evening, Board President Guerrero, board members and community. Doug Cardoza, interim superintendent. Tonight, I'd like to introduce Karina Mello and Bill Wilson. You two will come up. They're going to do a spotlight today on our academies of first responders at Golden West High School.
Good evening, board members, President Guerrero, Karina Mello, and one of the work-based learning coordinators with the College and Career Readiness Department. And tonight it's my pleasure to help introduce to you the Academy of First Responders housed at Golden West High School. With me tonight is Academy lead teacher Bill Wilson, who will be sharing some great highlights with you.
Good evening, everyone. My first time speaking here, so be patient. Our academy started in 2016. I started in 2018 when I came in as a full-time teacher. That's when the academy was expanded to where we had juniors and seniors now in the program. We've graduated 2 classes to this point. Some of the things we do, we go on field trips. We've been kind of pigeonholed the last year with our trips planned to CHP Academy and the Police Academy and some other things because of COVID restrictions. So we're hoping to expand on that next year, move forward. One of the biggest things we have is input from partners in the city, the county, and other agencies that are willing to come in and give presentations to kids, both hands-on opportunities and just presentations where they come in and talk and greet them and get to know them a little bit and let them know about, their kind of journey through the process and what led them to the first responders program that they're in. Some of the things that we've done and we continue to do is look for certifications. So at this point, we do CPR and first aid certifications. We do Stop the Bleed, which we have KDH personnel coming on Thursday to take my juniors through the program where they teach them how to address catastrophic injuries, apply tourniquets and stuff like that. So they get certified in that. The big thing, like I said, about the guest speakers, we've had guest speakers from City of Visalia, Police Fire Department, Tulare County Fire Department, Tulare County Sheriff's Office, CWS, the Victim Services Unit from the courthouse. We've also had City of Visalia or City of Fresno Fire Department come, DEA agents, bail enforcement agents. There's just a lot of different places that people come from the field of first responders, kind of expand it to let the kids know what's out there and what they're able to go and work in after they graduate from college. Some of the things we're doing in classes now, I teach first aid, I teach criminal justice, I teach criminal investigations, firefighting skills, and EMT skills. So one of the things that we're doing now in EMT, we're teaching the kids how to do patient assessments. We do have help from AMR, and we have a paramedic from Visalia Fire Department is going to be coming in, working with the kids, showing them how to go through the process. We also have criminal justice, crime scene investigation that goes on pretty much all the time with the criminal investigations class. We teach the kids how to do fingerprinting, booking, crime scene investigation. They lift fingerprints, they lift tire tracks and foot treads and all kinds of other good stuff. So that's an ongoing process with them. Our firefighting skills. And I just want to really commend the City of Visalia again, especially with Battalion Chief Darren Hughes. He allows us to come, whenever we have the time. He'll come to our school and help work with the kids, teach them various skills. They don and doff firefighting uniforms and turnouts, the SCBAs, which are the self-contained breathing apparatus. So we get the mask and get the air on. And a lot of the kids have conquered their fears of claustrophobia and stuff like that by doing that. We had a field trip recently where we went there. Kids got to actually pull active hose through their training center at Station 55. They worked in teams. They did team rescue as well with their face shields blinded out. So they learned how to work in the dark. What else? We have hydrants on campus, so we roll out hose there. We hook up hoses. Chief Hughes comes, shows the kids how to actively work the fire hose, roll hose out, get that all set up, how to spray pattern. What else? There's just tons of stuff I think I could talk about, but I think the big thing is that we're really trying to grow and branch out, get more people interested, which will in turn bring the kids, more kids into the program, keep them excited, keep them interested, and allow them the opportunity to see the things that they're not going to see outside, kind of away from the school. And I think that's one of the big things with us out here, especially Tulare County, when you think about the jobs that are available, there's a lot of jobs in corrections, security, police and fire and things like that. So letting the kids know that these opportunities are there for them, I think is really important. So that's pretty much all I have to say. If you guys have any questions for me, I'd be welcome to answer anything.
It's your first time being up here. It's a good
Yes,
presentation.
it is.
Anybody have any
Thank
questions or
you.
comments?
You did really great. Just thank you so much. I mean, your program sounds amazing. I just feel so excited for the kids that are getting to be there and getting to see what you do and just getting to taste and all of the hands-on things that you're doing too. I mean, that's what kids need. That's how they learn. I didn't hear, did you say that your kids are able to do ride-alongs or anything like that?
Well, what's recently happened, they weren't able to until recently. We've been told that once the kids, if they want to, they can fill out a form and they're gonna kind of make some efforts to try to see if they can get in. One of the things that we tried to do before with some of the internships we have is had something set up with AMR where students could go on a ride along with them. But they're kind of impacted because they have to have nurses in the programs and EMTs that are, or people who are going to EMT classes. They have to do ride-alongs as well. So we kind of get squeezed out on that. But we're trying to push the kids to get involved. They do have several students that are part of the Explorers programs for the Sheriff's Office, CHP, and VPD. So at least that part of it's, getting settled out. Hopefully they can bring some more kids in to the program, on campus as well.
Any other questions or comments? Questions or comments from the public? Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
So talk about highly engaging learning and letting kids have an opportunity to really see what they're interested in. It's fantastic. So, and we appreciate the community partnerships, a lot of community partnerships that are helping with this. So well done. Our next spotlight tonight, we wanted to spotlight FFA scholarship and congratulations to Rachel Majarian for receiving $1,000 FFA state scholarship. Rachel is a true product of 13 years in VUSD and is an example of what VSD and FFA experiences can do for our students. Many thanks to the Mount Whitney Ag Department and our counselors for stretching our students to grow into great leaders. The next spotlight tonight is on Cadence, at Golden West High School. Cadence, excuse me. My mind sees one thing. Cadence performed her speech at the Visalia Lions Club Zone 1 Student Speech Contest. Cadence was named the winner of the contest. I want to congratulate hers. Ms. Blair, do you want to say anything about her?
I mean, I did say at the last meeting, she was just, all of their speeches were amazing. She spoke with so much authority and it was just awesome. And like I said, the speeches were, it was like, how can kindness change our nation? And they were so thoughtful and Cadence just did incredible. I wanted her to come and share here, but it's like a 10-minute speech. So I know we don't have that, but she did great.
Thank you. Our next spotlight is on Shannon Ranch Elementary. They had Miss Tulare County Outstanding Teen, Kira Bixler, a sophomore at Redwood High School, participating in the Read Across America at Shannon Ranch Elementary. So it was fun for the kids to see her and participate in that. We also wanted to highlight our Vista's dual immersion program at Mountain View Elementary School. It continues to grow and it's really exciting. The kids are learning how to speak Spanish and highly engaged. Wanted to talk about the process of getting kids into the program. So for the 2022-23 school year, kindergarten and first grade, so we'll add a grade level this next year. The steps for applying for Vista Dual Immersion Program at Mountain View Elementary School, you must be registered at your school of residence. By April 29th, all interested forms must be turned in by 5 p.m. On May 3rd, we'll have a lottery drawing. May 5th, families will be informed by email of acceptance into the Vistas program. On May 12th is the last day for families to confirm their placement and accept that placement into the program. To enroll your incoming kindergarten student into the Vistas Dual Immersion Program at Mountain View Elementary, there's a link there that you can click on. And for more information, you can call the number listed and talk with Principal Amy Jones at Mountain View Elementary School. So exciting program, a lot of good things happening there. The kids are doing well and an amazing staff. And last but not least, I just want to again highlight that we have our Golden West 42nd Street happening this week, so the 7th and 8th. And we also have Ridgeview Middle School doing high school musical on May 5th through 7th. So get your tickets. Any questions?
Questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. On the dual immersion program, is there a community alert or something that's gone out to the community so they know that they can register for this class?
Yes,
These
Bart, do you
classes?
know exactly what's been done on that?
Okay.
I don't have a mic.
I don't have the exact details, but I know it's being pushed out to the community, especially targeting because it is going to be a K-1, but we're really targeting those kindergartners as they're, so in the enrollment process, that's really, we're trying to align the enrollment of kindergarten and dual enrollment at the same time because that's the same families to making that decision.
Thank you,
And
Mark.
I
Didn't mean
can
to put you
say
on the spot there.
I can say from personal experience too, that if you have a child in preschool within Visalia Unified, that they've sent out stuff through that too.
Good. Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is consent. It's a consent agenda. Is there any item that a board member would like to pull at this time?
Yes, I would like to pull enclosure number 3 and enclosure number 18.
Okay. Any other board member? Is there any item you would like to pull? Okay, do I have a motion on the balance of the agenda?
Motion to approve the balance.
Okay, motion by Ms. Kay Solano. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gaby. All in favor?
Student Board Representative Alvarez, and welcome.
Yes.
Board Member Blair,
Yes.
Board Member Solano,
Yes.
Board Member Gaby.
Yes.
I vote yes. President Guerrero,
Yes.
Board Member Naylor,
Yes.
Board Member Villegas.
Yes.
Motion carries. Student Board Member voting yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay,
Enclosure number 3.
Yes, as mentioned previously, out of an abundance of caution and to avoid any sort of, public perception of a conflict of interest, I have a sibling who is employed by somebody who does business with the district, and therefore I will be abstaining from any items, including that employer, which involves enclosure number 3 and enclosure number 18.
Motion to approve 3 and 18.
Okay, we have a motion to approve 3 and 18.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Gaby. All in favor?
Student Board Member Alvarez,
Yes.
Board Member Solano,
Yes.
Board Member Gaby.
Yes.
I vote yes. President Guerrero,
Yes.
Board Member Naylor,
Yes.
Board Member Villegas,
Abstain.
and Board Member Blair.
Yes.
Student Board Member votes yes. Motion carries 6 with 1 abstention.
Our next item on the agenda is a resolution. California School Bus Driver Day, April 26, 2022. Enclosure number 21.
Whereas school bus drivers are deserving of special public recognition and the highest commendations, and whereas the safety of our children rests in the hands of trained school bus drivers for up to 6 or 7 hours each day, and whereas personal time and energy are expended by school bus drivers in their initial training, maintaining current licenses and special certificates, perfecting their driving skills, and accruing added knowledge of first aid and school bus laws and regulations through continuing education classes. And whereas school bus drivers often face natural and unexpected hazards in the performance of their duties, whereas school bus drivers exhibit patience and kindness towards students, parents, and school staff in the performance of their duties, and whereas school bus drivers consistently demonstrate an awareness of and direct attention to the mechanical maintenance of the school bus and safety conditions of the school bus routes. And whereas many school bus drivers perform their services for thousands and thousands of accident-free miles year after year, now therefore be it resolved that April 26, 2022 is hereby recognized as School Bus Driver Day in honor of our outstanding contribution and excellent services provided by school bus drivers to the youth of Visalia community.
I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Ms. Nader motions to
I'll second.
approve, second by Ms. Casper Selena. All in favor?
Student Board Representative Alvarez,
Yes.
Student Board, Board Member Gaby.
Yes.
I vote yes. President Guerrero,
Yes.
Board Member Naylor,
Yes.
Board Member Villegas.
Yes.
Board Member Blair.
Yes.
Board Member Casper Selena.
Yes.
Motion carries. Student Board Member votes yes. Motion carries 7-0. And please, can we have our iPads back?
Yes, but before that, we have a comment, public comment by Ms. Vicky Winfield.
Wow, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
So for the first time in the last 2 years, we would like to invite you to California School Bus Driver Day celebration at Transportation. It's going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, April 26th, with breakfast being served, as well as Safe Driver Awards. This year, we have a total of 699 years of safe driving cumulative throughout all of our drivers. And as you know, our drivers have gone above and beyond the last couple of years with delivering meals, books, all kinds of stuff to the students and staff and helping out with whatever. So we really want to honor them this year since we had to skip the last couple especially. So you guys are welcome. If anyone wants to ride the routes, just let Delia know and she'll make arrangements and we'll get you the time. I know Walter has done that before and there's others. So we want you to join us.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. And I do want to thank all the school bus drivers, all the transportation folks out there. You know, I think all my grandkids have ridden the bus over all these years. And, you know, what amazed me is how much the bus drivers know all the kids on the routes. They know them all. And even during the pandemic, I know if the bus was late or whatever, you know, it was going to come. It was going to come very dependable, and you guys do a fantastic job, and thank you for your leadership there.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to focus on student learning. Our next item on the agenda is Visalia Adult School Report, Enclosure 22.
There we go. I'm not as tall as everyone else. So good evening, Board President Guerrero, Interim Superintendent Cardoza, board members and community. I'm Tammy Olson, Principal of Visalia Adult School. And tonight I have the great pleasure of sharing with you just a small snapshot of the fantastic programs that are happening at the Visalia Adult School. This is normally a 20-minute presentation that I do for the consortium board, and I have got it down to 8 minutes or less, I hope. So first of all, just our current programs that we have at the adult school, our adult basic education program, which is housed at our main campus, plus various locations at elementary schools throughout Visalia Unified. And also we support Exeter. High school equivalency, GED is offered in English and in Spanish. And that is to prepare them for the GED test in English and Spanish. And then also the HiSET, which may not be as familiar to many of you, but it is a third option for folks to receive an equivalency in the state of California, as well as many other states in the nation. Of course, then high school diploma that is offered at our Visalia campus and also elementary locations throughout Visalia and Exeter. Our ESL, English as a Second Language program, our EL Civics and Citizenship Prep, which we just had 2 folks gain their citizenship in the last 2 weeks. So we're very excited for them. And then also our Integrated English Technology, or what we call IET programs. And we are offering that right now for caregiver, childcare, and nurse assistant. And what that does for our folks is kind of like a push-in service for our ESL students, so that right along in their career technical program, they have support from someone who is an ESL teacher to help them with any of the vocabulary or understanding that they may need, and those extra supports to pass and make sure that they gain those certifications. Okay, moving on to our certification programs. Oh, and I'm going to just go back real quick. One of the pictures there in the middle is we are using HiFlex model that we've kind of gleaned from the College of Sequoias. And there's an owl that's right there. And the teacher is able to work with the students in the class as well as the students that are on Zoom. Simultaneously, they're working together. And the far left photo is a presentation that's being done on financial literacy, where the students in the class and the students on the Zoom are able to participate in that at the same exact time. So then now our career technical education programs. On our main campus, we have the clinical administrative medical assistant program, our combined welding program, basic construction, basic electrical, programmable logistics controller, medical billing and coding, nurse assistant, office skills, vocational nursing, and warehouse logistics. And the 2 photos that we have there, the smaller one with the tent, that was when all of our vocational nursing students were helping with all the rapid testing to get the VUSD students back into class as soon as possible. And then the larger one is one of their last rotations that they have had over the last month with the Tulare County Department of Health. And they were out helping vaccinate all of our homeless in our community. So that was a great experience for them. And they all shared how life-changing that was for them to participate in that. And then we also have the Adults with Disabilities Transition Program, ATP, which is part of the K-12 system. And they're located on our campus, and then they can take classes with the adult school as well as be in their adult transition program in order to gain the skills they need to go out and get jobs. And then we also partner with the Creative Center. We have 2 teachers that are there to help with those adults with disabilities. And that's, if you've never got to experience the Creative Center, it is just a phenomenal program that we're proud to be a part of. And then also ABLE. And we have a job developer out at ABLE that helps the adults with disabilities there also gain work experience. All right, so now our total enrollment by program year. We did in 2018, right before the shutdown. You'll see on the graph here, the orange is the number of students that we provided services for. And the yellow is how many students what are considered part of the 7 program areas for CAPE funding. So we served 3,400 students, and of that, 3,126 were in the 7 program areas for CAPE, or the California Adult Education Program. Then pandemic hit, and you see we took a dip, and our services and our enrollment in program areas were about equal because of the services that we weren't able to provide during the shutdown. And then last year, we are starting to see that climb go back up. We aren't back to our original numbers yet, but we are getting very close. We were able to serve over 3,000, and of that 2,868 were in the 7 program areas for the California Adult Education Program. And right now we're on target to surpass that
We are sitting at about 2812 right now. And we just started another electrical program, another electrical cohort, and another construction cohort. And this is our students that it does not include our inmate program and those that are incarcerated that we also serve. Right now, we're up to about 61. That was our hardest population to serve during the pandemic because we couldn't get in. And so we are now finally back in almost 100%. There are still a few units that are shut down. And in though that we service HISET and adult basic education in the inmate program, as well as our basic electrical AC/DC, what we can do with the limited resources we can take in, but also logistics and warehouse, so that when they get out, they'll have some skills to be able to get a job in warehouse logistics. The next slide, I'm bringing back to you for just to update you on our annual continuous improvement plan. So these were our goals that we turned into the state last year. Our SIP goal number 1 was that over the next 3 months, we would formalize a process to collect and analyze data to review quarterly with our SIP advisory team, which was comprised of many different folks in our community, as well as students and staff. And we did complete that. It is up and running. We have about 8 different community members that are on our advisory team, and they meet quarterly. And so that we can review our plans and our data and make sure that we're on track. So that goal was completed. Our second goal was to continue to increase technology access and distance learning platform usage, including training for our instructors to strengthen our student digital learning by 25%. And we did exceed that. We are proud to say that our most underserved prior to the pandemic with technology were our EL learners. And now we have a very robust program called Burlington English that they are able to access wherever they're at and on their phones or computers to help them with their technology. And then the last one was in order to meet the needs of the community, the stakeholders and the career interest of our English language learners, we wanted to strengthen ESL awareness of the different CTE pathways and increase their participation in our IET, CET programs by over 20%, over the next 3 years. So this one is ongoing. Last year was year 1. And so we are now heading into year 2 for that goal. So then that leads me to our goal for 22-23. Our advisory team met last week and we reviewed these after our staff and students had also reviewed. And these are the goals we will be turning in the end of this month for the state. Our SIP goal number 1 is to, over the 22-23 school year, increase enrollment in our CTE programs by 20% and complete and increase our certification pass rates by 10%. So this is something that we've been focusing on and getting, especially our medical programs, back on track after the pandemic, and to increase the participation in those programs as well as the certifications. Our second goal is the goal that we carried over from last year, so I won't reread that one. And then goal 3 is our new goal that is our long-term goal to continue to focus on learner results and our Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act, WIOA, which is a little different than your Title II, but it's our federal funding milestones and increase enrollment at our offsite locations and the program completers and school to work employment by 15% over the next 3 years. And if you'll see, it says 5%, then 10, another 5 and another 5, which doesn't equal 15 if you do it mathematically. But so we know we'll be able to obtain that goal when you do 5% every 3 years. All right. So in conclusions, just kind of letting you know what is new and what has changed. One of the new programs, thanks to Brandon Gridiron, and I was glad he invited us into this, is a partnership with Tacomas, their Pathways program that provides financial literacy And we are started with our EL population. We've had over 90 of our EL students who have gone through and met with their counselors for financial literacy. We just held another workshop that they came out to last week, and we had another 60 that were interested and came to meet. And if they meet with the financial counselors from Tacomas for 3 times, they actually are given a financial incentive. And Tacomas has gotten a grant in order to do this partnership. And so we're very excited for our students to be able to participate in that. The other new one is our partnership with the Probation Department. They have opened their connection center, and the pictures there of the classrooms and the study area that they have, that our classes are being held in the afternoon. We do have a difficult time getting our incarcerated friends that have gotten out to come, but we are hopeful that they will come. And we, as I say, you build it, they will come. So we're hoping that will be the case. And we keep working with the Probation Department to be there. And we're just so grateful that they're allowing us to host classes there. And it's also open to the public, so anyone can come there for GED or HiSET. And we're thankful that they are able to do that with us. The other thing is we added 2 more offsite locations. We are now out at Goshen Elementary as well as Green Acres Middle School. So expanding not only our Conyer, Crestwood, Viva Blunt locations, and now, and then Houston, Ivanhoe, and then now Goshen and Green Acres. And then we are right in the middle of our modernization project that started at the beginning of March. It is on track to be completed by July 31. This will be able to increase our medical offerings in CNA and give us a second lab. So our VN students and our CNA students don't have to share a lab anymore. And they're all very excited about that. And it will give us 2 additional cohorts each year for an additional 30 more students. Right now, we turn away at every lottery anywhere from 15 to 20 students in this program. And so we're excited to be able to hopefully not turn away anyone in the future. Our vocational nursing program is also going to under some changes in accordance to what the Board of Vocational Nursing is wanting to do. So we're going to have a new cohort structure of 30 students every January and 30 students every August instead of 60 students every 18 months. So what that will help us do is get folks out into the field quicker and more students without a large gap before the next group comes out. So we're excited about that as well. Our group will, this group we have right now will end in November, and then the new group will start in 30 in January, and then another 30 the following August. And then some new additional adult school courses for next fall, a custodial technician, paraeducator, and entrepreneurship. So those are the 3 new programs. And then last but not least, we've been working with COS on dual enrollment on our campus. And so we will be offering Child 42, which is a transferable course, but also falls into line for education. So that course will start fall of 22 on the Visalia Adult School campus, as well as Counseling 25. And that is another transferable class. Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
Hi, Ms. Olson.
Hi.
Can you tell me what the difference is between a HiSET and a GED?
The group of folks that are offering the test.
Okay.
And the HiSET is geared more for workforce ready, where the GED is geared more towards college rigor. So the GED has a little more rigor to it, but they are both recognized in the state of California as an equivalency.
To like a high school diploma.
Yes, correct. Sorry.
Perfect.
Yeah, and
then-
so we counsel our students, but are you planning on going to college? Then you'll want to go the GED route. If you're just trying to get a raise by getting the completion or going straight to the workforce, the HiSET's a quicker way to go.
Okay. Thank you. And then the partnership with the Probation Department. So it's an office inside of their I can't remember what they just called it. You called it
Connections, yeah.
Connections.
Connection Center.
And so I happen to know 42 attorneys who would love to send all of their clients to get a GED or probably more of a high set.
Yes.
And I would love the opportunity to partner with you. I mean, the biggest thing about public defenders in our county is if we don't know that it exists, then we don't know how to send our clients there. And so I'm so happy that I found this out. I was like getting excited just thinking about clients that I could send your way. And so I would love for you to send me who we can talk to just to get that information out to my office.
Absolutely. We'll send you the flyer that we just sent out. And actually, we just got clarification from probation on Tuesday of last week that we could, they didn't have to be on probation in order to come into the center, because that was our other.
Right, because of COVID.
Yeah. And also, they wanted to start to make sure they had enough space for everyone, and they do. So, yeah, we're in the process of outreaching to a lot of other folks. So I will be more than happy to send you that flyer.
Yeah, and we handle about 80% of the criminal cases in Tulare County. So send it to our office.
And we would love to help them get their high set.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? I visited your school this last week. And so you said something that you all were doing with Sequoia High School. Can you go over that just for a moment, just in that pathway that you all are working on?
Sure, we're right in the infancy stages
Good.
of it, but we are trying to work out a partnership for a pathway for Sequoia students into our CTE programs, but then also offering CTE programs on Sequoia's campus through the adult school in the evening. They have a great culinary kitchen. We don't have that. So we would love to partner with them and be able to do that in the evenings, and then working on ways to bring office skills to their campus, as well as medical terminology, because medical terminology is needed for every profession in the medical field. So it's a great entry level for all students wanting to take that pathway. And then also for our EL students that are right next door at Green Acres in the afternoons, we'd love to be able to do an entrepreneurship and food service right there at Sequoia for them. So we're working furiously to get that all put together.
Yeah, I wanted you to talk about that because that's kind of unique. And, we do a lot of educational pathways and leap learning, our high schools,
Yes.
traditional high schools. But this is something different for Sequoia High School, for our continuation students. And I just thought that was something that I just wanted to bring out so folks could know what's going on over there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any other comments?
I just
Adrian?
want to say thank you for your work out there. I know your staff is so dedicated to these students
Yes.
and, in particular, adding the nursing programs. I have seen those a lot of when they are sad and leaving. And so this is like great news, and we definitely need more nurses. And so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Also, we need more teachers. So thank you for the education component.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of jump on board with what Jackie said and thank Tammy, because Tammy is always gets it done. And through the pandemic, it was like, what do you need? And she did training for us and used staff to do testing. And she's always it's a can-do attitude. We can get it done. So we appreciate her positive energy and attitude and always making things happen for us. So well done.
Thank you.
We'll move on with our agenda. Enclosure number 23, Visual and Performing Arts VAPA update. Destiny Nutt, VAPA coordinator.
Good evening, Board President Guerrero, Interim Superintendent Cardoza, members of the board, and the public. My name is Destiny Nutt, and I have the pleasure of serving as our district as coordinator of the Visual and Performing Arts. Here is an overview of our learning journey today. Throughout this presentation, you will see photos that our VAPA teachers have submitted of their students and their work. I truly believe that we have the best students in Visalia Unified. In my presentation this evening, I will be demonstrating the following CNI commitments. I will be vulnerable and honest. I will communicate and collaborate effectively. I will lead and own areas of responsibility. Our focus for the sites for the 21-22 school year has been to continue training on the California art standards and the implementation of the standards in the classrooms. When I asked our amazing VAPA educators what we wanted to celebrate this year, their response was overwhelmingly in alignment with this quote. It says, "We were excited to get back on the field and on the stage. It has been healing to make music together in person again." An overview of our department. In summary, you will see we have 85 certificated teachers, 1 classified instrument repair tech, and 1 certificated manager. In VUSD, VAPA classes begin in 4th grade, where all students take classroom music. In 5th grade, students and their families choose to either enroll their student in band, orchestra, or classroom music. In 6th grade, students and family choose to either continue on in band or orchestra or join classroom music. In our comprehensive middle schools, we have it's actually 2,237. There is an error on that slide. That's actually the total number of students we have in middle school. So I just want to notate that in case anybody caught that mathematical error. That are enrolled in VAPA classes. We're still very proud of that. That's 57% of the students. This table shows you all of the VAPA classes that are offered at each of the sites. This next slide shows that in our comprehensive high school, we have 4,451 students enrolled in VAPA classes. This specific table breaks down the visual art, dance, drama courses that are offered at our comprehensive high schools. And then the next slide gives you the information on the band, choir, and orchestra offerings. I know that's a lot of data. So I just wanted to say that there is some more in-depth data on the students in VAPA elementary through high school that can be found in the appendix of my presentation. Next, I want to give you an update on our instrument repair department. We have purchased 686 instruments this year, which brings us up to a total of 5,032 instruments with an approximate value of $3.3 million. Approximate cleaning cost savings of those instruments, because they have to be cleaned every year. If we were to send those out to an outside entity, it would cost us roughly $289,000 a year. As so far from the beginning of the school year in August, we have repaired 567 instruments. And then I just wanted to put an approximate repair cost savings by repairing instruments in-house annually. We looked around, we reached out to a couple connections to figure out how much it would cost to do the kinds of things that we're making happen every single year for our students and their instruments. And that amount is $772,000. We are so proud of our instrument repair work study program. We currently enroll 6 students each summer in our instrument cleaning and repair summer school course and work study program. These students also have the opportunity to continue working with us after school the following school year. And then this next slide is to show you the type of work that happens in this instrument repair shop. So the first slide shows, and this is like a fairly easy, fairly common repair. So the first is a broken scroll off a violin. The second is actually, you can see it set, right, as it's being glued. And I am so proud of our instrument repair shop. They actually developed those wood blocks to use like that tool to be able to use to do this specific repair with accuracy, and to be able to fix something that sometimes you would take to other shops and they'd say they couldn't do. And then in the last picture, you can see the completed work where you can't even tell that that had happened, because we know that we want our students to be proud of their instruments that they are playing at school. So just a little cost savings breakdown on just this, like I said, very average, almost everyday occurrence. It takes 4 hours of labor. We figured that out to be $60 per hour if we had to outsource for that. plus $20 in parts, that one repair would cost $260 plus tax, shipping, and then obviously the time that it would be away from our students, right, while it's getting repaired. Since it's happening right here, the teacher brings it in, we repair, and it's back in the student's hands in a matter of days. Next, we are so excited about a new instrument repair facility on 2010 South Mooney Boulevard. If you're not familiar with this building, it was the Sherwin-Williams building. And we just have been so excited to plan this, and you can see the blueprints on there and what we've been working on. And the things that we're most excited about is we're going to be able to store all of our instruments in one location, which right now we're actually, during the summer, have them typically at least 3 separate locations, and some of them have to remain at the middle schools, which makes it hard because then we have to rotate them in order to service them. So having them all in one place is such a big deal. As well as workstations for our students and our staff. Currently, we roll out tables every time the students walk in, and they're working on tables. So for them to have their own workstation with gas and air and all sorts of things, I can like just telling them this is in the works. The ones that are currently helping us, their smiles lit the room. It was amazing. Including we have a lacquer room, a buffing room, and an instrument cleaning area. So we are so thankful for this, and are very much looking forward to see this its completion in roughly October. So we're really excited about that. Next, I just wanted to take a minute to update you on the VAPA, the work happening in our VAPA Advisory Committee. The Usd Vap Advisory Committee had its inaugural meeting in January. The committee is made up of teachers representing each VAPA discipline across all levels. Much of our work thus far has been on looking at the needs of our programs and planning the spending of one-time funds that were allocated to VAPA this year. I presented these needs to Cabinet in March, where we were very excited for Cabinet to approve our plan of almost $400,000. From that meeting, it was requested that the VAPA Advisory Committee develop a transportation baseline plan, as well as a plan for replacing items that wear out over time. So that's our current work. Next, just a quick update on the VAPA PD happening. We have been happy to have been able to partner with the California Arts Project to provide discipline-specific training on the standards and frameworks this year. I can just say, just to see the faces of specifically, I remember our dance team, to have another dance teacher come in and talk to them specifically about dance, it was energetic and amazing, and just so powerful for them to feel validated in that way. And we hope to continue to offer these important trainings in the future. So you may ask what our next steps in the VAPA department are. Well, right now we're working to survey the VAPA teachers to gauge professional development interests and needs. We're also developing a 5-year plan for VAPA curriculum adoption and course outline updates. We're exploring expanding opportunities for dance and orchestra. We're also exploring expanding opportunities for instrument repair and its work program, now that they're getting their new building, right? So last, I just wanted to end this presentation with a picture that shows the wonderful work happening in our VAPA programs. Here you can see Golden West High School orchestra students inspiring the students of Golden Elk Elementary to start or continue playing an instrument. We are so thankful for the support of our district and our school board. This ends my presentation. Thank you for your time tonight. I will be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Are there any questions or comments? Go ahead.
Thank you, Destiny, so much for coming. I'm so excited about all of the things that you said. I did have a couple of questions about the instrument repair. So when I first got on the board in November, I got to go and visit that closet / room that they have to fix the instruments in, and it was so exciting. So my husband builds guitars, and so I know what goes into this, and it is no joke. And just knowing the amount of people in the world that fix violins, and that we have someone that is training kids to do that here, is just incredible and extraordinary. So how many kids do you usually get? I know you can only take 6 to be in this program. How many kids do you usually get in this program?
Every year we've been able to find 6.
Okay.
We usually will have more? Sometimes we have more, and we have to put them on a wait list and can't accommodate them just because of the size of our space.
Okay, and so they start in summer school, right? And so instead of taking a regular summer school class, they would do this instead. And is there a portion of the day where they get paid as well?
That's correct. It is a work study program. So in the morning, they attend summer school for the 2 sessions of summer school, and they earn credits for that. And then in the afternoon, they are paid on timesheets as student work hours, student
Okay,
workers for
and so
us.
if they want to continue with the program throughout the year, what hours do they go back and work and what days?
That's a great question. They currently come in on a Wednesday afternoons,
Okay.
and they work, I think it's 4 to 7 or 4 to 8. I can't remember the exact hours off the top of my mind, but yeah. And it's
Okay.
great to see them because every time they come in and are so excited to be back in there, and they're bringing the instruments with them. You know, their band directors love it, or orchestra directors love it because it's the way to get their instruments to and from super easily. So
And this new building, oh my
yes,
gosh.
we are so excited.
I mean, a buffing room, a lacquer room, I can't even, it's huge.
You should have seen the look of my repair tech's faces when they were like planning it. They're like, oh, we won't have dust when we're
I'm sure.
lacquering."
And I just also wanted to say thank you for, I mean, just this last picture of Golden West performing for Golden Oak. It makes such a difference to our young learners to hear the older kids play their instruments and see that's what I will sound like. That's if I continue to practice, this is what it will be like. So it gives them so much incentive to keep going and keep pushing through. So I just love that. My daughter got to be a part of the Redwood percussion and I keep saying it. I wish every VAPA program would do that. I mean, just invite the 8th graders to come and be a part a little bit in the spring, because it's just been such an incredible experience to be a part of high school for a little bit. But this is great to go and perform and have the younger kids be a part. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Simonian?
Destiny, I just want to say thank you for coming. This makes me really excited that we have a direction, we have a committee that is going to focus on VAPA. I was noticing when I was looking at the 4th through 6th grade participation in music, and there is a few kids at each grade level. It's slide 7, and these are numbered. I don't number them.
I did number them.
I know everybody thought, oh, she must number her slide. There's some kids that aren't participating. Can you explain to us why there may be some kids that are not participating in music?
Absolutely. So some of that I believe is clerical error, because I believe like sometimes when new students get added mid-year, the secretaries at sites will forget to add them to like music and PE classes. But also I know that some of that is students who are in our SLC programs or programs like that, where their IEPs do not have them mainstreaming for things like music or PE quite yet. So I think some of it is attributed to those two things.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. I had the pleasure of sitting in on a couple of these VAPA advisory meetings, and really thank you for facilitating all the wants, needs, and desires from art to dance to band to drama. It was just a really great process to see all our VAPA teachers come together at the table and talking about how do we, when the initial thought was, hey, we only have 200,000, how can we best distribute this to meet the needs of, our highest need schools and students, seeing them come together and saying, well, you know what, we're a fairly newer school, or we have new instruments, so we're good. We should, allocate here and here. And then at the end, our cabinet coming together to make sure all these needs were funded was amazing. And so I thank you for being part of that leadership and all of our VAPA team and advisory committee. One question I did have was Green Acres has a wonderful musical theater program. A few of us got to sit in and watch Annie, I know, in the new Rotary Theater. What can we do to expand musical theater to other middle schools across the district, in your opinion? I know part of it is they have a long established program that's been around for years. But what can we do to expand those opportunities to our other middle schools and sites?
That's a great question. This last year, we took a step in that direction by equaling what we offer, because we did not offer drama even at to Visadero Middle School. So that was a big step in the right direction. So really, Green Acres is special in the way that they have their Green Acres Foundation that helps support in many different ways. So it's really being able to reach out to those directors, working with them and making them realize what's out there and what they can do, and then just giving them the support that they need.
Thank you.
So any other questions or comments?
I would just say thank you too. VAPA is so important in keeping kids connected to school, and just thank you for your work.
Thank you.
So I do have a question, and it might not be for you, but it might be for the superintendent or someone else on staff. We're going to be doing the Extended Learning Opportunity Program. And to what extent is VAPA involved or going to be interwoven into that program? I'm looking at Mr. Thompson over here.
Yes. And that's something that we're working on, July 1, that'll start taking place. But really, so the ELOP plan gives us opportunity outside of the school day. So it's the 9-hour school day, additional 30 days of school. We will be looking at VAPA opportunities in that, and that's for K-6 students is what it's targeting. So we're looking for a variety of opportunities to engage students in both extracurricular or enrichment programs, but also in some academic opportunities as well. So we are going to be working on that. We will be bringing that back, but I am excited because as Mr. Villegas, also, part of building a drama program in middle school is getting kids excited about it before middle school, because then they have the confidence to try out. They have the confidence to put themselves out there. And so I think that there's a unique opportunity that we have with these funds that are coming in to be able to start some things maybe after school at some of our elementary sites to then feed into our middles.
Okay, I'm glad that it's at the lower levels. Will ELOP also have an impact on the high school level for VAPA?
Technically for ELOP is targeted to K-6. If there is extra monies over the top of that, if you've served your unduplicated population there, then you can go to middle school and then you could go up to high school, but it's really targeted right now K-6.
Okay, and I'm glad we're doing the drama classes at it's the Visadero, and I believe Valley Oak also was impacted by that. I know I kept playing a broken record on that in terms of, hey, it needs to be at all places and whatnot. I'll bring up the whole thing on the theater thing later on when we start talking about VCIS campuses going out to Lover's Lane, because there is a theater over there, and I've asked staff to look into that and maybe expanding that. So that on the east side of the community, we can have a theater on that side. I know there's a little one, but expand it a little bit so we can bring in more people and whatnot, but
And we would fill it
that'll
up
be a
if we
different
had it.
presentation or there'll be different series of questions at that time. I'm just making people aware that that is my interest. But I thank you, and I thank all the folks involved with VAPA for all their work. Now I'm going to ask if there's any public comment on this. If not, then we'll move on to our next item on the agenda. Thank you very much. So our next item on the agenda is Local Control Accountability Plan Update, enclosure number 24, Mr. Jim Sullivan, Administrator of Family and Community Services.
Good evening, Board President Guerrero, Mr. Cardoza, and the school board. I'm here. My name is Jim Sullivan. I'm here to share with you our local control accountability plan, and it's really focuses on board goal number 5, aligning our resources to support district goals. So I want to give you kind of a backstory about our breaking things. Backstory about the LCAP, the Local Control Accountability Plan, or we call it the LCAP. It began in 2013. And if you were on the board then, you remember that in actually 2013, we didn't even have to have a plan. They just gave us the funds, we spent it. And so then it became a plan in the following year. And each year it has become more and more complex. So you're going to see how it's even evolving even more. CDE actually creates our template. So when you see our template, don't blame me. It's a very complicated, complex, 120-page document. Our school site plans and our LCAP must be aligned, meaning that the school goals must be aligned to our LCAP goals. And the state recognizes that our district plan is our student achievement, or really it's our district strategic plan. We have a 3-year plan. Each year, every 3 years, we kind of reevaluate the whole plan. During those 3 years, we have year 1, which started this year. And we're going to look at right now is just what's happening this year in our plan. You remember, you've seen this slide before. We have all of our supplemental and concentration funds, which are funds that we receive from the state based on unduplicated students, meaning all of our students who are English learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged, or foster youth, they're counted once. So we receive those funds. Concentration funds are the number of students who are above 55%. Once we hit 55%, we get additional funds for each student that's over the 55%. You can see also we have Title I, Title II, and Title III and IV are also in our current plan. Our current plan focuses on our 5 goals, the board goals. You can see here that these are the people, if you will, that are supporting goal 1. Also part of goal 1 is like we provide funding for AP tests. Each of our students receive 1 high school AP test that we pay for. We also provide transportation for our linked learning academies, other things as well as VAPA, all of the linked learning. Thank you. All of our VAPA and linked learning, CTE, the discretionary funds there. We also provide like the College and Career Readiness Program, all comes through this. So it really totals around 31 million. In goal 2 and goal 3, you can see all the behavior aids, the 42 are coordinators, the support for attendance, all of those people are funded through here. And we also pay for additional services for homeless through this funds, all of those things. Goal 4 is really attracting teachers. This is where we currently pay for our teacher induction program. And then goal 5, because remember, this has become almost a compliance document. We wrote in there that we provide funds for sites. For example, Title I, we have to give sites Title I funds. That's part of the regulations. We don't have to give them the supplemental concentration funds. But as a district, we've always made a point to provide feedback or provide opportunities for sites to use their funds discretionary to meet their needs. So we distribute supplemental concentration funds based on their number of unduplicated students. The next slide is kind of our whole budget that we currently have. And we currently have 78% of our supplemental and concentration funds are allocated towards salaries. And then a discretionary is around 12 million. In federal funds, around 4 million, 5 million in salaries. And then we have around 7.5 million in discretionary. We call discretionary funds funds that aren't allocated towards salaries. Discretionary funds, though, for us, like in the federal funds, we pay for SciCon out of that, which is around 500,000. We pay for indirect costs come out of that. Other things come out of those discretionary funds. So it's not really like discretionary funds. A lot of it is allocated towards mandated costs that we have to do. Something for us to think about is just step and column is around 2%, correct, Nathan? Just for step and column. So that's around $1 million that we need to take out of discretionary to move over to the salary side for next year. So I just wanted to share that with you. So as we move on to the next one, we're going to start talking about next year's LCAP, the 22-23. We're getting, this is in the middle of our 3-year cycle. We're adding all of these different funds into the LCAP, ranging from state preschool funds will be put in, as well as A through G grant, the ELOP funds, all of the different grants. The ESSER funds need to be added in here. All of the different, like we have the American Indian program will need to be added into our LCAP, because again, it's a strategic plan that shares with our community all of the activities we do for student achievement. We have educational partners input, students, our reps, our CSEA and VUTA principals, teachers, and parents. What you did on Friday, I will be taking all of that information because that will be part of our students of input. I'm visiting school sites, I'm meeting with the AVID, the special ed students, and an EL class to hear from those students of what we can do to help serve those students better as well. We meet with teachers, parents. We're having a big meeting at the end of August, again, just to gather input. And if you remember for this one, because it's in the middle of the 3-year cycle, it's about how we can gather input and maybe shift a little bit in our thinking, but at the 3-year mark is when we can really shift whole programs. So something new for us is our goals are going to have to be adjusted a little bit. Our goals are based on board goals, which aren't necessarily measurable. We need to make them measurable. So there's 2 different types of goals that we can put into our LCAP. One is called a broad goal and a focus goal. A focus goal is very specific. So it would be, for example, VUSD will increase student achievement for our special ed, for our students with disabilities by 2 points. We don't have a baseline this year. So the recommendation we are giving is we create a broad goal. And a broad goal would be is something like VUSD will increase academic achievement for all students, including the following student groups. English learners, foster youth, all of our student groups that are struggling, we would call them out, but it would just be increase academic achievement. It wouldn't be a very specific goal in how many points we need to increase by, knowing that the CAPS is, first of all, we haven't given it since 2019, and it's a different test now than it was in 2019. So we're going to create broad goals for our for next year's LCAP, and then reevaluate that when our test scores come in for the following 23-24 LCAP. And I just wanted to share with you, this is the same goals, and we're going to be adding additional FTEs into the LCAP. You can see in red, those are all those positions that are currently being funded through our ELO plan or our ESSER funds. So those will be also added in there. We're looking into, obviously, working with Destiny, the VAPA transportation. We're looking into how to put that into our LCAP, as well as looking at full-time librarians, and also the TK support, knowing that when we start adding 4-year-olds onto every campus, it's going to look a little different. In 2 and 3, you can see all of those positions. We moved, oh, not yet, sorry, different one. You can see that we've moved our treatment nurses to full-time. All of these are through our ELO funds. Goal 4, those will all be moved to the Teachers Effectiveness Grant. Part of the reason is we received the grant. The other part is that we need those funds to help balance our LCAP so that we can move forward for the next 2 years. And goal 5, we actually increased additional funding to the sites, knowing that with they haven't received an increase for several years. We've received raises, step and column, so they need to, in order to keep their current people, we need to give them a raise as well. Our next steps is to continue to seek educational partner input, continue to review current activities to better serve our students, and develop more measurable goals. So our timeline is here today. We're sharing our proposed adjustments with you, and we're continuing seeking input. And then obviously in May, we will share with you the rough draft like we usually do. And then in June, we'll ask for your approval. That's it.
So in June, is that the first meeting in June or second meeting in June?
It's both. The first meeting in June is the first read, and the second meeting in June is the approval. Any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board?
I just wanted to say, I'm so glad that you're taking in feedback from our listening session on Friday. And I would even like to see, if not this year, then planning for 2022, 23, and 23, 24 LCAP, I would love to see a student listening session specifically focused on LCAP, where I know a lot of this, a lot of these terms and even the model itself, but there's a way we can present it, as we're telling students, this is money we're receiving. And, we didn't, because we had such a limited time on a Friday, we didn't get to a lot of the sort of solutions, but students have very creative ideas and solutions and are often mostly impacted by the issues that we're always making decisions about. So I would love to see an LCAP focused student listening session to solicit feedback in the future, if possible.
We can do that as district-wide. Currently, I am going to, that's what I'm doing with each site when I go to those classrooms. I ask them specifically, what can we do differently to better serve you? But we can do that district-wide too. That would be.
So more specifically, are you requesting that the board participate in those student listening sessions for the LCAP?
Yeah, I
Or are
think
you
that,
asking that he do student listening sessions on his own? Because he goes out.
no, yeah,
He
thank you
goes
for
out.
that. Thank you for that clarification. I would, if it's the will of the board, I would absolutely love to, but I would love for the board to be present and to be listening at these sessions as well.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Well, I would echo that. I think the listening session last Friday was amazing. So the more we can get student voices, that is why we exist for them. Quick question on slide 15, Walton numbered mine too. What is an E&S coordinator?
Which one is that? Oh, slide 15. Mine aren't. Goal 2 and 3 in E&S coordinator.
And then it says ENS TOSAs on the right.
Oh, student equity and service. Sorry, yes.
I have a question. This is a lot of one-time funds till 2024. And if we're finding that a lot of these programs are working, how are we gonna fund this? Have we thought about that? Are we looking ahead?
We have plans. We have opportunities. The state gave us additional funds this year that we are using in one-time funds so that ultimately when the 3 years plan is up, we can then decide which positions we want to include in the LCAP for future.
That's an excellent point. And to that point, there's a bill or a proposal by the state superintendent to increase funding for mental health services and counselors, et cetera. So all these numbers and hypotheticals don't take that into account. But if that were to be taken into account, where do you think our priority right now would be in terms of additional supports for students or LCAPs, or if that's been a conversation?
So I'm just going to base it on what's here that's funded one time. It would be the counselors and the social workers would be the two, just because that's where obviously the funds is where he wants them to be as well.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Hernandez, what's been the discussion on the increase on concentration grants, if any?
So this year, there was an increase in the concentration grant for the current fiscal year. And so we have set aside some of that funding, and that's kind of what Mr. Sullivan was talking about, where we have some planning for what happens when the one-time money runs out. I have not heard any conversations in the current budget cycle to increase the concentration grant anymore, but there are conversations about increasing base grant just in general. So
The base grant. Okay, thank you. Any questions from the public? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Our next item on our next item, excuse me, our next item on the agenda is our student representative report, and we have a new student board member, Braille Alvarez from Redwood High School. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry for I usually don't sound like this. I have allergies right now. But I'm going to start off with VCIS, and then I'll just move on through all the high schools. So first off, VCIS students have been registering for 2022 to 2023 school year, and they look forward to all that is possible in the next year. VCIS also wishes all safe and a happy, healthy spring break. El Diamante ASB just held their VAPA rally on Friday of last week. They used this rally to celebrate groups like Media Arts Academy, band, drama, dance, and choir. ASB is sponsoring an anti-vaping and anti-drug use campaign called Takeover. The campaign is holding a lunchtime rally this Friday. The event will be hosted by Q 97.1 featuring live entertainment, games, prizes, food carnival, and other booths. Their class elections are this week. There is an, oh my gosh, sorry. There is an election forum for candidate speeches on Thursday during lunch, and elections begin at 7:30 a.m. on Friday. ASB's spring rally will be on April 22nd and the Cars Black Light theme. This rally is their class competition rally. The classes will compete against one another through a class dance and rally games. Golden West ASB hosted a Las Vegas themed rally on Friday, April 1st. The Golden West Drama Department is hosting their musical 42nd Street. This week is on the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Mount Whitney's has won more championships and by their students. Over the weekend, their drumline has won first place at High School Regional A championships with a score of 80.1. The Whitney's drumline swept their class in every category, including music, music effect, visual, and visual effects. Last Friday, the Mount Whitney's ag construction students, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce these names, Brandon Roman, Omar Ponce, Ethan Kaufman, William Fay, Mary Horn, Albert Secho, and Henry Vidak placed first overall at the Tulare Kings College and Career Expo at COS. Mount Whitney's ASB has been keeping busy with getting decorations ready and planning their spring sports celebration rally and their Mr. and Miss Pioneer Night coming up after spring break. Redwood ASB is creating a new week that will include all teachers and students on campus. It will be called Student Week, where there will be a small activity every day, like giving donuts out to students and teachers or receiving blue balloons on that Friday. There is another student equity forum meeting this Thursday where students are able to come and speak on topics that may be to their concern and can be heard by our staff. Redwood ASB, Dance Force Cheer, and many more clubs are already getting ready for the next year by having tryouts and sending out applications. Redwood, LD, and Golden West, along with Mount Whitney, are all getting ready for the next big dance, which is prom. There has been multiple meetings among the 4 schools, and even one today on where the dance will be held. And that is all.
That was a very good report. Thank you.
Thank you.
We, as a board, really enjoy having our student reps here in our board meeting, because they were on Zoom before. Here in our board meeting, we look forward to your reports. You keep us updated on what they're doing at the schools, the students, and we really do appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Okay, good job. Our next item on the agenda is board member reports. So we'll start with Ms. Blair over here.
Okay, thank you. So on March 30th, I got to visit Ivanhoe Elementary and Elbow Creek with incoming superintendent, Mr. Schrum, and that was just so wonderful. I really loved both of those schools so much. You can smell the orange blossoms as you get out of the car when you're at Ivanhoe Elementary, and they have an amazing view. But even more than that, Mr. Gonzalez, Jesus Gonzalez, is a newer principal there, and he's doing just an amazing job. And the kids on campus just love him, and his staff is so dedicated, and those kids were so engaged, and you can just tell they take so much pride in their school. I didn't see one mask on the ground anywhere on that campus, which is a huge deal. They really just take care of their school and are so proud of it. Their library was full of life. The librarian there is newer, and she got Joanne's to donate a bunch of craft supplies, and they do crafts on Friday in the library. She comes up with a craft every week, and it was amazing. And then Elbow Creek, same thing. They just love their school. They have such a huge campus, and they are just so happy with their principal, Miss Hale. Their library is also huge, and they do read alouds to K through 6 every single week, which I think is amazing. Speaking of reading, on March 31st, I got to be a part of the literacy night at Oak Grove. They asked me to read stories, which is my favorite thing to do. So I got to do that for a couple hours on and off with their reading interventionist teacher. And then they also had a book walk. They were doing their book fair at the same time. So parents were encouraged to, they had like a little card where the kids went to each station, making a bookmark, going part of the book walk, walking to the book fair, listening to a story. It was great. I got to visit Highland on April 1st, which was amazing. That school is beautiful, and they also love their principal, Mrs. Peredo. I got to visit their preschool program and visit their classrooms, and they just love their teachers, totally engaged, such a great atmosphere on their campus. And then our focus groups that for Student Voice on Friday night, I know other board members are going to talk about this too. It was just incredible. And I just want to thank all of the parents and all of the students who came on a Friday night to talk to a bunch of adults, and really were so honest, so vulnerable. They shared their experiences with us so candidly. I was just so thankful, and just want to tell them their words were so powerful. I was just so thankful. And then today I got to go to Crowley, which was the best because I went to Crowley K through 6, and the school looks exactly the same. And they're starting modernization like this week, which I was glad I got to see it look the same, and that I know that it's going to be updated. I was so impressed with Nikki Menes, their principal as well. She just has an incredible atmosphere on that campus, and her students love her, and the teachers were great. They were doing colonial days, so their 5th graders were all dressed up, and they were making butter and playing games and doing all these amazing things. And they have an AVID program for their 6th graders, which Claudia Diaz, I think, was the principal then, and it's amazing. I would love to get AVID on for our 6th graders everywhere. So that's my report.
Ms. Case Barcelona.
I was going to say no report, but I did want to comment on last Friday. It really was amazing. I loved celebrating the sports teams. I then liked doing the student voice. I think I had made the comment to Mr. Cardoza that when you join a school board, you often think that you're going to be interacting with students all the time. And then you get on here and you realize that that's like nothing or very, very little of what you actually do. And so it was just made me really happy to kind of have that of what I had envisioned being a school board member kind of come to fruition. So it was really wonderful.
Thank you. Mr. Villegas.
Yeah, I want to echo the same comments from Trustee Blair and Trustee Case Salena. It was just a very powerful night. And I also want to thank members of our cabinet for being there to also transcribe our conversations, because as we're trying to listen and take notes, it was really great to have both our current and incoming superintendent there present as well to listen to student concerns. And they talked about some of the same things we've been talking about and things that we're trying to address, and also offering solutions and different perspectives that we don't always think about. So it was much appreciated, and I look forward to continuing to participate in those sessions in the future. I was able to visit Sequoia High School yesterday with President Guerrero, Superintendent Cardoza, and a few members of our staff as well, where we spoke with Principal Reyes there about some transformative healing programs around culture and reconnecting students to culture, students who often go through very traumatic experiences. And so I'm looking forward to how we can continue these supports and programmings for our students all across the district. As mentioned earlier by our student representative, Brielle, I also want to give major kudos and applause to Mount Whitney High School for winning first place at their drumline competition. So yeah, if we could give them a round of applause. And also Redwood High School for their first place percussion group as well in the Fresno circuit. Yeah. Major congratulations to all of our winter guards and winter percussion groups who just finished up their championships last Friday and Saturday. These students put hours and hours into their performances, whether it's spinning a flag or a saber or a rifle, or playing in the pit percussion or drumline. It was just really awesome to see their successes, not only throughout finals, but really throughout their entire journey and success throughout the seasons. I myself participated in an activity for many years, and it taught me a lot of life skills and lessons about how to work with other people, how to show up on time, how to work hard. And so just seeing all of these students, be excellent individuals, both on and off the floor, is just great to see. And I'm really excited to continue support these efforts for all of our students. So another reminder for those who want to participate in our equity forum, we're going to have 2 opportunities on Thursday. The first one in the morning, I believe at 9 a.m. And then the second beginning at 6 p.m. here at the district office. So please join us if you want to make your voice heard and participate in these sessions. Thank you.
President Guerrero, if I could steal it back real quick, I just wanted to say that we thanked, I know that Miss Blair thanked our students and our teachers for last Friday, but I did want to give a very special shout out to our staff. The principals were there, a cabinet was there. I don't think that, I don't pretend to, I mean, I just know that so much work went into why it was so amazing for us was because of the work that you guys put into it. So thank you.
Ms. Gaby.
Yes, ditto on the student voices. They were, I mean, I think it's all been said, but they were insightful. They want to be part of the solutions to some of the issues we're having, and that's so important. We're not going to solve it without their input. So thank you to them. And again, thank you to staff for arranging that. The more we can include student voices in all areas, I think, the more impactful. Other than that, there's another elementary track meet this Friday. And if you haven't been to an elementary track meet, that is an elementary, kind of our only sporting event. So it is very exciting, and kids love being, kind of representing their school. And aside from that, spring break, enjoy it, staff, teachers, students, parents, definitely well-deserved. And hopefully everybody rests up.
Ms. Kamonian.
Well, I also really loved Friday night, and Mr. Vaca, that was your brainchild. So thank you for that. There was also a survey to the seniors, and I love that the majority of our kids felt connected to our teachers. So good job, teachers. And then the other thing that I think really came out on that night is that we have a lot of mental health services and supports, but kids are not able to access them as readily. And so if we can figure out strategies to help them do that, that would be great. The very next day, we had a board study session with our incoming superintendent. And it was really a good time of really him learning us, and had an opportunity to learn about him and just building a team. It's just a real honor to serve with the people on this board. Then on last Thursday, I got to visit some schools and sites with Mr. Schrum. We went to Goshen, and it was really sweet. We had 3 student leaders that came and gave us a tour, and they're so proud of their school. And my favorite places are libraries. And the librarian there, Monica Guerrero, she was showing us how she did a book tasting. So the kids had an opportunity to look at different genres. And I asked the kids, I said, do you like electronic or do you like a book? They like a book. So I thought that was interesting because I'm the electronic reader. Then I got to we went to Green Acres, and modernization is underway there. So thank you, Eric, and your team, and Steve. It was interesting. We looked at the PE classes. All those kids were dressed out and participating. They don't have a problem with that. The PE teachers there are amazing. And then there's the famous room 63 at Green Acres. That's where they do their tier 2 supports. They have social worker, BIT, school psychologists, all working together to help kids. Kids can refer themselves, teachers can refer kids. And then 2 or 3 doors down is an OCR. OCI, yes, thank you. I don't know what OCR is, but I know what OCI is. Thank you for that correction. There was 2 kids there that were having some issues. And what I loved about it is there's a certificated teacher in there. So they're still learning. And plus 2 doors down are all the supports with the BIT and the school psychologists. And then we went down the street to transportation. Thank you, Mrs. Wingfield. It was interesting because during this COVID time, everybody was driving buses. I wish they would have asked me. I would have loved to have done that. I have been on a ride along with the bus, and it's amazing because that's the first face our kids see. And I was so impressed with how these bus drivers really connect with these kids, like, oh, you look like you're not having a great day today. And, that's the first thing they see. And those bus drivers get those kids ready to learn. So I was quite impressed with that. And then we went to global learning, and they do project-based learning. They are doing a garden. They had their garden in one place, but they found out there were portables or something that's supposed to be, something with that? So they had to move their garden down. But what I loved about global learning is that the kids have continuity. So they have the same teacher first, second, they have the same teacher third, fourth, same teacher fifth, sixth. So they have that consistency with learning. And so, yeah, I think Mr. Shrum was quite impressed with us. So I'm excited.
Thank you. My report on last week, I was able to go to Valley Oak Middle School, and they had their Winter Sports Awards. They had two assemblies, one for 7th grade, one for 8th grade. There's a lot of kids in school, but what was important there is that it was their first assemblies since COVID. Okay, so before they were outside or however they did it, but this is inside the multi-purpose room. It was a good event, a lot of energy, a lot of awards and t-shirts. At first place, I think it was soccer and basketball for that school in their leagues, respective leagues. I also visited Golden Oak Elementary, got a good tour of that campus. And while we were there, I went with Superintendent Schrump, incoming Superintendent Schrump, and went through Golden Oak Elementary, but we also visited the Compass program. And so the program is a special program for kids that have special needs, and they do a lot of work over there. In fact, both of those schools are linked with each other, and there's a lot of work that goes on with the kids there that have special needs. After that, we went to Visalia Adult School, and we met with Mr. Warner, who I'm sure he was going to come for a presentation there on the Sequoia Consortium with the College of Sequoia and the adult schools here in Tulare and Kings County. But went there, and then we went through the various programs there. And I know I already asked questions on the pathways, but we also saw some of the TCOE, one of the TCOE programs for kids with special needs, and then also their vocational programs there, welding and electrical and the other stuff that you have there. And they're doing some modernization there, so there's a little bit of movement going on there. But after that, then the next, we went also to the student voice thing, and where that really actually came from was from an equity presentation with the Equity Council at Redwood High School. Okay, and it was at the request of the students that they wanted to meet with the school board, and they wanted us to listen to their concerns. So my request was to ensure that we had Equity Council students, and they were well represented at the student voice. In fact, part of it was a senior voice because they were seniors that were there at these sessions. And yeah, it was a Friday night. They were all there. They were all very vocal, and they spoke passionately about their concerns. I do appreciate that the staff was there. And prior to that, we did the recognitions for our sports. And I would ask that in the future, we're going to do recognition for sports, that we might want to do this again. It felt very comfortable doing it at Mount Whitney, off-site, out of our boardroom. I had a lot of room for our sports teams to be there, and also for the parents and families. So, we can do that, maybe look at something. Well, you're going to retire, so probably in the fall when we start doing those recognitions. And, anyway, it was a real good event. On Saturday, we did something else that hasn't been mentioned here. And that is our efforts as a board to do continuous improvement, to do what we did is we did a board roles and the superintendent roles. Okay, and so we are focusing on ourselves in terms of how we build our governance team, but also doing that with, we did that with County Superintendent Tim Heyer, but we followed through with that with a session with our incoming superintendent, Kirkstrom. So those two things were done simultaneously and together, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. But it was very impactful and we had a good discussion in terms of our roles and what we do in our, and we're talking about our systems, okay? And what we're gonna be doing this following year. So we're a little bit busy there, but you know what? It was well worth it. And as I said before, our board is committed to building a governance team. And also we're committed to meeting quarterly to improve and talk about our goals, our metrics and those type of things. And those are gonna come. I think Mr. Sullivan mentioned the thing of a baseline. And that's something that we're talking about because we just got out of COVID these last 2 years. And so everything's gonna be a new baseline. It's gonna be a new baseline. And so we're gonna be looking at this next academic year as the beginning of that baseline. Okay, and that's something that's important to note. One last thing, the board knows this and we all gave our applause, okay? But for already a couple of years, since year and a half, since we haven't had one, but we have another delegate assembly member here.
Yes.
Okay, and congratulations to board member Gaby, who was selected countywide. Tulare County School Board Association, they went out, took votes from all the boards, school boards in Tulare County, took a vote, and she's our new rep. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very honored to represent our county.
Good. So we're gonna move on to our superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Guerrero. I just wanted to mention a couple things and be brief because there were so many great things that have been already said tonight. And again, I thank Mr. Vodka for really putting a lot of effort into getting the student voice going. That was a great opportunity. We learned some things there. We'll make some adjustments and more time is needed. I think we all agreed to that, even the students, like we could have used another hour to really continue with that. So we learned little things, but at least we got it kicked off the ground and can get started with that. I just want to say, as we, take advantage of the opportunities that have come to us with this additional money and support. When I look over here and I see counselors at the elementary schools, I applaud that. That's something that, we need to really look at our district and look at how we set up proactive opportunities for kids. We spend a lot of time with kids in the elementary schools and having counselors there. I've had multiple sites and messages about the impact the counselors are already having on students in our schools. So the question came up, how do we maintain the support when the money's gone? This is an opportunity because the money's here to really look at how we teach kids and support kids in schools. And then we make adjustments when the money's going away we prioritize the things that are really working and stop doing the things that are not. So I think it's just a great opportunity. I know Nathan says never waste a good crisis. And so I think we'll continue to move forward with that. I want to invite any board member who has never been to one of our specialized programs, whether it's an SLCs or a SELC program or Compass program, to let me know. I am happy, and I know Carrie would go with us, to take you to visit some of those programs because you hear about them, but you need to see the work that's happening in those classrooms. So if you haven't, please reach out and I'll be happy to carve out time to walk through those classrooms with you. We're very proud of the work that's happening there. It's very unique. What else? I think that's pretty much it. The one thing that I've noticed tonight is everything we talked about was about kids in every report, kids and everything that happened at the podium there. So it feels so good that our focus is on kids now. And this has been a great board meeting. So thank you.
Staff dismissal. Our next item on the agenda is administrative panel recommendations. And it's enclosure 25. Is there a motion? I'll entertain a motion tonight.
All motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Gailey, second by Ms. Casper Soleno. All in favor?
President Guerrero,
Yes.
Board Member Naylor is absent. Board Member Villegas,
Yes.
Board Member Blair.
Yes.
Board Member Casper Soleno.
Yes.
Board Member Gaby.
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries 6-1 absent.
Our next item on the agenda is recommended suspended expulsions, enclosure number 26. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Who was it?
Catalina.
Okay, Ms. Blair, motion, second by,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Gaby. All in favor?
Board Member Villegas,
Yes.
Board Member Blair.
Yes.
Board Member Case Selena.
Yes.
Board Member Gaby.
Yes.
I vote yes. President Guerrero.
Yes.
Motion carries 6, 1 absent.
Our next item on the agenda is enclosure number 27, Blue Oak Modernization and New Construction First Street. Steve Peña, Director of Operations. Is that in your title?
Gotta lower it down. Yes, it is. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Little nervous, first time, so bear with me. Good evening, Board, President Guerrero, Interim Superintendent Cardoza, members of the board. I'm Steve Peña, Director of Facilities, and I will be bringing Blue Oak new construction and modernization for a first read. So let me grab this clicker. Work to be done. We have 8 classrooms that we will go and modernize, 8 permanent classrooms. We will also be doing a parking lot reconfiguration for a better traffic flow and kinder drop-off for the campus. We will also be adding a new 8 classroom wing, 1 classroom being a STEM, 2 kinder classrooms, and 5 standard classrooms with the set of restrooms and associated site work that we'll be touching on. The contractor, we will be submitting bids on April 19th, and we will be bringing it to the board for approval on April 26th with the contract for approval. So here's some existing classrooms as they sit now. So as you see, we have some old cabinetry that's non-compliant, outdated light fixtures, not the new LED that we put into new classrooms and campuses or modernizations. We'll also be replacing the finishes as far as walls, paint, ceiling tile, furniture, and carpet. So this is a standard classroom, and we'll be going in and replacing all finishes. So the parking lot reconfiguration, as you see to the left, that's the existing parking lot. It's really not a drop off. It's more of a parking lot. So what we will be doing, let me see how do you do the pointer, Nate? Sorry. As you see, we're going to be adding a new approach to the off of Caldwell, and we'll be bringing them in to the north, going right in front of the new building there, kinder area here. There'll be a drop off here, and then they'll be exiting out off of, I think that is road 160, I think. They'll exit off of right there. One thing that was requested by the sheriff and also the county is to add that approach and that drop off for better traffic flow. Right now, they basically back up along that avenue on the west side, and it backs up onto Caldwell. And so it'll help with traffic circulation. So here's a new building. So here's a new STEM lab that we are going to be providing. Here's your 2 standard classrooms with another 3 standard classrooms up top. And then we have your 2 traditional kinder wing with staff workroom and restrooms for the kinder. And then to the south of that is where the new play structure will go. And then further south is that new parking that I mentioned. And then there to the left, you have the new restrooms that we'll be adding to this wing for students and staff. With that, any questions?
Any board member questions or comments? None.
Is
Keep going.
one quick question.
Oh.
Is this a K-8 or K?
Yes, they are a K8.
K8,
Yeah,
okay.
and they're growing into the K8. I think as of right now, they are a K6, but over the next few years, they'll be growing into a K8, similar to Sycamore Valley. Any other questions?
Go on.
That is it.
Steve, I just wanted to say you're a natural at that microphone. I think you can be the voice of VUSD.
I don't want to do that. So with that, I think I'm up next again. So
Yeah, you're in enclosure number 28, Crowley Modernization.
there we go. So I'll go over it again. Good evening, Board President, Mr. Guerrero, Interim Superintendent, Mr. Cardoza, members of the board. I am Steve Pena, Director of Facilities, and I'll be bringing Crowley modernization to you as a first read. With this project, we will be bidding this on the 12th, and we will also be bringing this for board approval on the 26th. So with that said, we'll go through the slide. The scope of work, we will be touching a total of 15 original classrooms. So that would be stick frame classrooms. And then we'll also be touching 12 modular classrooms or spaces on campus with technology. The site will also receive a new parking lot for better traffic flow and drop off. One thing that we've kind of been wanting to do for a long time, this project's been in the works since Measure E, for those that weren't around. We are finally getting the money back from the state to do this project. So this is all state reimbursement that we're doing with this project. So this project right now is estimated at 4.2 million. So here's a standard classroom. Again, we're going to do all the finishes, new marker boards, polished concrete, new furniture, new ceiling tile, new lighting, new cabinetry, new plumbing, everything compliant with site, concrete being compliant, and plumbing, restrooms, all of that's fun stuff. So it says modular move, and we messed up, but we are moving a modular. So these two modulars will be moved onto campus. That will allow for a new traffic circulation. This one, we're not adding an approach. These are two existing approaches there. We are moving the two buildings which are there, which basically line up into somewhere in this area. We will be removing those into campus to allow for better flow. So with that, any questions for Crowley?
Any board member questions or comments? Community questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Pena, you're done.
Thank you. Enjoy your night.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is a resolution of support of Assembly Bill 2084 for school buses, enclosure number 29. Vicky Winfield, Transportation Director.
Can't believe I had to lower that, but I did. Good evening, President Guerrero, members of the board, Superintendent Cardoza. I'm here tonight to ask for a resolution from the board to support AB 2084, which is concerns this use of stop arm cameras on our school buses. I'm going to try to figure this thing out. So, help me out. Okay, so I came to you back in September and asked for a resolution to participate in this pilot program. And at that time, we were going to put stop arm cameras on 10 buses. And we actually did. We had one bus that was out of service pretty much most of the time. It was one of our electric buses. So from November 28th, 2021 through February 25th, 2022, we got data weekly showing us the number of violations in which areas. So this is the total for the district over that period of time. There were 1,196 violations of our red crossing lights while the buses were stopped to load or unload students.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Were those violations cited?
No.
Okay, they were observed.
Right, they were observed on the cameras, and I'll show
Right.
you a
Okay.
couple of short videos when we get done. So this is one particular bus number 17 over that period. That bus had 568 violations. If I can make that work. So this area right here is the Cameron Creek area behind Costco, which is Court and Cameron and Oakview. That's Cottonwood Creek Elementary. And then this area up here is north of our location. It's the Houston and North Ferguson, Mooney area. Those are Riverway, mostly Riverway students. And so that was the majority of the violations. This was bus number 4. So again, this is the Cottonwood Creek area. there are 427 violations on that bus. So we have two buses that pull out of Cottonwood Creek, and that accounted for over 900 of our violators, just that area alone. Okay, this is bus 35. This bus is the Mineral King area. So they had 88 over that period of time. And so this is I just want to show you just a demonstration of what they catch on the camera. So these are, our red lights are on, our stop signs out. It tells you where the location is, Douglas, Robin. That's River, those are Riverway stops. And I mean, they're not going slow. Speed limit past the stop school bus is 25 miles per hour, just as it is in a school zone. Okay, and then I'm gonna switch off of this one and go to the next video real quick. So this is out from our cameras. Chuck, if you want to go ahead and go to the next video. And this is a district up in Sacramento. There was 8 districts within the state that were selected to participate in this pilot program. And it's towards the end of this video that you're going to see one of the reasons that we are asking for support for the enforcement of this. Is it going, Chuck? Yeah. Can you start it? Oh, is it? Okay, yeah, speed it up a little bit because it's towards the end. Yeah, nope, back. Right here. So the kids up there on the top, this is a student, and we have some occasionally that'll do the same thing. They live on the right side. They'll go walking down the side of the bus. Something or someone will call them across the street. And so they'll go running across. We've had it happen in several of our areas. And so the kids need to be protected anytime the bus is in the position of loading and unloading students. And so our red lights stay on until we actually leave the stop. Anytime we're stopped for the purpose, just in case somebody's running up late, somebody gets dropped off, or a parent calls them across, we still need them to be under the protection of the red light system. Okay, Chuck, you wanna? Okay, this was just one, and I just got this the other day, but in 8 months, and this is Suffolk School District, and it's in another state where they've already legalized the stop arm cameras to be used to cite drivers, because a portion of the funds go back to the school district. So part of the funds go back to the school district, part go to the municipality that writes the citations, and then there's a percentage that goes to a witness program. And so what we're doing is California does not recognize the use of the cameras on the school bus stop arms. We're one of several states that still hasn't approved that legislation yet. And so we're asking for support when we go to ask them to approve that. We already have cameras that are traffic signals. They are also operated by third parties. And so we're just asking to be approved to put on the sides of school buses so we can maybe slow some of this down, or, eventually it'll never stop, but at least it deters people from running our red lights. Any questions?
Thank you. Any comments or questions? So this right here is an action item.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
Like in the areas where we identified, like I think you said there was like 901 area, even without this legislation, even if it's not passed, even if it doesn't go anywhere, even if we don't see it for years, is there anything that we as a district could be doing now to sort of, I just think it's one of those things where if you're on the road and the car in front of you goes in front of it, like you're like, oh, maybe like maybe I can do it too. And so I can see, especially on some of those busy roads where that could be happening a lot. Like, I don't know, do you have anything that we could be doing now? I don't know if it's like just education campaign, if it's
Correct. And we've tried through the years, transportation organizations have tried through public service to get it. It's a question on your DMV test, you know, if the lights on a school
Yeah.
bus. We have CHP that goes out, our officer will go out and ride the bus and they'll set up like a sting with other officers in the area, but unless they catch them, they don't cite them. Our drivers can turn the license number and the make of the car in within 24 hours. They will send them a letter.
Yeah.
The first time's a letter, the second time they will send them a citation if it's the same, but the hard thing is you got to prove that it's the vehicle that you're catching. It's not whether it's the driver or
Driver.
not. So we educate our kids, you know, during our bus evacuations, and the drivers are always educating the kids, you know, you stay over to the side of the street until we tell you it's okay to cross. But I mean, years ago, I was driving and actually had to pull a kid out of the way. So, you know, and this was before we had as many drivers as we do now and as many violations. So.
I see it all the time.
Mhm.
I really do. I see it in the city. I see it out in the rural areas and, you know, people are just going by the buses. The buses have the red lights. You know, I'll tell you right now that I will make the motion on this.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. And I just want to say thank you for, you know, your presentation and also showing us the video, because I think it's one thing to read this on paper and look at numbers, but another to see the life of a child within seconds at risk because of irresponsible
Yeah.
driving, right? And,
Mhm.
you know, I'll be honest with you, the sort of poli-sci civil liberties, like, you know, side of my brain is like, oh, but like, you know, surveillance and things like that. But, you know, when it comes to the life of a child and that child's well-being, I thank you, all of our bus drivers, Assemblymember Sawyer, for putting forth this bill, because I do think it will create a safer environment for all of our school children.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
So there's motion by Guerrero, second by Mr. Villegas. All in favor?
Board Member Blair,
Yes.
Board Member Case Soleno,
yes.
Board Member Gaby.
Yes.
I vote yes. President Guerrero,
Yes.
Board Member Naylor is absent. Board Member Villegas.
Yes.
Motion carries 6 yes and 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is synergistic energy specialist introduction and report to the board. Enclosure number 30, Mr. Eric Kerr, Chief Operations Officer, and Robert Shamende.
Yes.
Okay, synergistic client manager. Thank you.
Good evening, President Guerrero, Interim Superintendent Cardoza, board members of the board, Eric Kerr, Chief Operations Officer. So this evening, back in February, you approved the contract extension for our partnership with Synergistic for Energy Conservation. And as part of this new agreement, in addition to the 32% savings in our annual or our monthly fees, we will be getting a synergistic employed energy specialist. So some of you that have been around for a while might remember that that's the job that I had back in 2013. So we've kind of come full circle. So I'd like to introduce Robert Etchemendy. He is a synergistic client manager. He's our client manager that serves us. And he's going to introduce our new energy specialist, Mr. John Landrum, and also kind of go through a board report on an update of the energy program. And this is something that we hope to do more frequently, quarterly, bringing these reports to the board. So Robert.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Board President Guerrero and Interim Superintendent Cardoza. I appreciate your time. We had a presentation here to kind of spotlight how across the commodities that the Visalia Unified School District uses, electricity, natural gas, and water, both irrigation and domestic, how the school district has done in the past, where we are up to the current billing cycle, and some environmental impact that hopefully will send a message and help. I myself support, and I will introduce Mr. John Landrum here formally. John, and we have a team of consultants that will come in and support John and the district, work with the district. I myself was an energy specialist at Tempe Union High School District in Arizona. I went through a contracted period with them, and so understand and appreciate how this is impactful for a school district I was once asked, why is it why do you believe in this? Why do you want to become the energy specialist for the district? And I'm really not a salesperson, so I have to really believe in it to really get behind it. So I said, I can do this. I can stand here and ask you to be conscientious, right? We want to be cognizant of safety, comfort, but of course conservation. And I think the way energy costs and I would say even a potential crisis in water throughout the Southwest, that we want to be aware of how we're using those commodities. With that being said, I think I'm controlling this. We're going to go ahead and move into the presentation. Okay, so our update here will start kind of with a timeline. So energy saved, and we wanted to kind of just show you as far as the KBTUs. If you're not familiar with British thermal unit of energy, how much energy is used. I know, not very exciting, right? But over 95 million. So enough to run all the elementary schools in the district for the next 2.61 years. So quite a bit of energy. You see what we call the energy use intensity, the EUI. So we have where basically your footprint, how much energy, and we're talking about electricity, natural gas, does the district use? We started out, so we use the square footage divided by all of the personnel for that conditioned space at 45. We are at 37 currently up through January. So we hope to, and you're going to see with COVID, there have been, I think you've seen with some of the presentations tonight, how that has impacted various initiatives. Also the energy conservation. Now, to the credit of Visalia Unified, Eric and his colleague Dustin, and of course, ladies and gentlemen here and the staff have been willing to kind of carry us forward, but I think we can even do better in the future. So if you take a look up here, you will see the commodities, just exact use of what we have. Electricity being by far the commodity that we use the most. Natural gas, of course, spikes during the winter time, depending on how cold it is, how we're using it. And then water is really your close second to electricity. And that's split. We don't have it here, but it splits between domestic water. What do we use in the sites? Everything that, from a faucet to if you have commercial chillers that cool sites. And then, of course, irrigation, which here in the Central Valley is with the weather and the way things are with the drought, is also significant. So you can see the usage trends. We have gone down, we spiked a little bit, but I think we're going to look at going back down to a reasonable level. How can we use the commodity but not be wasteful? So my environmental impact. So the amount of energy reduced by Visalia Unified School District since the beginning of the program for electricity and natural gas, which of course encompasses our energy, over 95 million KBTU reduction impact in energy alone, over 15,000 metric tons of CO2, 16.8 million pounds of coal burned, or 1.8 billion number of smartphones charged. So quite a bit of energy that your school district alone has avoided using. So just a couple highlights. So we look to obviously operate a healthy building. How do we make the environment comfortable? How do we make what you have here at Visalia Unified efficient, right? So how do we use those things a little bit better? We have some highlights here. Comfort for, of course, class time. When the staff, the community at large are not there, how do we avoid using anything that we don't need to? Okay, we're not going to run the board building all summer if you don't have a board meeting, right? So we're looking to continue our partnership and of course optimize all the systems. And again, you have the benefit here of Eric having been, and some of the folks maybe in this audience that have experienced the energy program here in the past. Part of the partnership, if you can see, it's a little bit smaller there, but our team is extension of your facilities team. So we partner with your team. We have experts in engineering, irrigation. How do we create those relationships? How do we foster those relationships? And how do we leverage technology, which is an ever-growing piece of what we do? So you will also see that as well. And finally, I'd like to introduce Mr. John Landrum. A little bit of background here. John is one of our, on two fronts. He's a veteran Marine, but he's also a veteran energy specialist from one of our sister districts. So a little bit of background here. He's worked in Bakersfield City Schools for several years, served in the Marine Corps for 20 years, was deployed to the Mideast. John has an MBA and has worked in the safety field for several years and likes to ride dirt bikes with his 2 boys. So without further ado, Mr. John Landrum, your new energy specialist.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for your service. I have a brother in the Marine Corps, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Any questions by the board? Questions or
Yeah,
comments?
I just want to clarify something. And Mr. Landrum, thank you for your service and welcome to Visalia Unified. The cost that we're paying is $15,750 a month. And that's for all the services of Synergistic. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And if we don't get the appropriate energy savings, that price goes down, what we pay each month. Is that right?
The price is static every month, but it's less than what the district was paying before.
Savings guarantee.
Oh,
You didn't know that was in the contract, did you?
yeah, I did. I mean, maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
So we guarantee the savings as far
Right.
as, yes.
And then if we don't get that guaranteed savings, then we pay less money. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Thank you guys for sitting there patiently for the entire meeting. I saw you guys in the back. I know it's almost 10 o'clock, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is information only. Okay, so we're going to move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is enclosure number 31, board policy revisions, adoptions, deletions, second and final read. And that would be interim superintendent Cardoza.
Yeah, so we're bringing back board policy 9324 regarding actually board bylaw regarding minutes and recordings of board meetings, and really going to the section that past practice has been that the district may erase or destroy the videos after 30 days. And so there's been some discussion with the board and extending that or changing that part of the policy. So I'm going to open that up for board discussion to you all.
Well, I just wanted to ask, like, if anyone had just some good reasons to not keep those indefinitely or to keep those for a certain amount of time. I would just like to know.
So like, I mean, I don't know that I'm real definite. I'm interested in hearing some, especially kind of some of the things Mr. Villegas brought up. The one thing in thinking about it since the last time we read it, is that we do get emails and comments from staff and parents that are sometimes intimidated or shy to come to board meetings and talk. It is a big deal sometimes to come up here and give your opinion. Sometimes they're talking about things that are personal to them or their students. And in talking and thinking through that, there are times that a parent or staff, in this case, in talking to a staff, would say, I don't actually want my video up forever. I said something because I felt very passionate about it, but now at the school, I'm getting comments made to me, things like that. And so, and and I could ask for more clarification too, because I'm not sure, but I think, the minutes are truly our legal, like, documentation of what happens at our meetings. And so I don't know, or if maybe there's a way that we broadcast parts of it, but I don't want to add that to Chuck, that then he's like editing videos. So anyway, that's my number one concern with leaving them indefinitely or for a long period, is that we do have, it's one thing for us, we're signed up for this, but sometimes a staff or a student, especially, I think, we've had some students even recently that were very nervous and came up here, and to think that, one day in high school, his video is still going to be out there. I don't know. That's just kind of what's going through my mind right now, but I'm definitely open to hearing people's opinions.
I think that totally makes sense. I think that's really thoughtful. And if anything, we want people to feel more comfortable at our meetings. We don't want people to feel intimidated at our meetings. We want to, those focus groups were so special because those kids felt safe. And we've heard that those kids, a lot of them said they don't feel safe in our boardroom because of some of the things that have been said, or some of the ways that people have reacted, or maybe because of the cameras. So if anything, we want to make our board meetings feel less intimidating. I know that you gave us a paper that said, there were quite a few districts that kept theirs for a month. There were quite a few districts that kept theirs for a year. Yes. I was kind of interested to see what, I don't have it still, so.
Yeah, so I think we'll find variation across different school districts. And also some of those were just districts that have enacted a policy more recently. So they may have only had 1 year because they've only been active for a year, or they've only been archiving for a year. I appreciate you bringing up the comments around, individuals, because I do want individuals to feel safe. My whole perspective on this was to be more inclusive, more transparent, and so folks have all this information. But I do think you raise a fair point around individuals and how long they want their statements out there. To that point, I would say I would hope that we can create a safe and inclusive environment for anyone to come to our board meetings. And certainly I would love any suggestions on how we can continue working towards that, while also emphasizing that, individuals can, come back to the following meeting and say, I want to clarify what I said at this past board meeting, or, one comment at one meeting doesn't define an individual for the rest of their lives necessarily, right? And they can speak out and say, this is what I said then, upon reflecting upon, what I've learned now, or my own life experiences, et cetera, then, I'd like to correct or clarify what I said. And so that's kind of what I would look to. But of course, this is board, and I will respect, the will of the majority. Other things that we can look towards doing. I know some districts, for example, keep their videos up on, for example, their YouTube channel for the length of that academic year, and then remove them for the following year, but they keep them archived. So if there is somebody who wants to come back later on, they can go back to the meeting and request it, but it's not necessarily up on the channel, on the public channel forever. Maybe it's an unlisted video or some sort of policy like that. And I am open certainly to suggestions, but I hope in being, public for all and transparency, et cetera, was just, so that folks, regardless of where they come from, whether they're student, parent, family member, et cetera, they can come back, listen, and learn to be informed about educational policies and, the district's policies, decision makings, and understanding rationale. And my whole thing, I agree, the minutes capture actions, which at the end of the day are, the actions we decide to take as a board. But sometimes it's hard to understand why those actions were taken if we don't have the same perspective, and if we weren't present at those meetings, and if there's not newspaper coverage or other sources for individuals to gather more information as to why a decision was taken or not taken, et cetera.
So I think what I do like about this is that I think it's currently it's 30 days, right? That's our policy. I don't think that that's enough time. Because really that's only encompassing 1 or 2 meetings tops. And so I like the idea of having them up for a year. especially just, I know we have COS students who reach out to us, who want to interview us. They have to watch meetings. I think that it can be important for people to see that. I think that the concern from Jackie is, Miss Gaby, I should say, is well met. I also just want to say that I know that I'm a lawyer, and so not everyone will agree with the way that a lawyer thinks all the time. But I do think that on top of there being data storage issues that the district could run into, these are very large files, and how long do we keep them? Are we saying that we're keeping them indefinitely? Like even our CUME files for students have an expiration date at some point. And so I think that kind of just having this indefinite thing is really probably not appropriate. And then also I think to consider that with something like a Public Records Request Act, the amount of time it takes for our staff to then have to sit down and watch hours and hours. I'm an attorney, right? I've had to watch days worth of surveillance footage to try and get to like just maybe like one little snippet. It is a lot of time for our staff. And so I'm trying to find this balance of like wanting to keep transparency and definitely allowing the public access, but also trying to balance that kind of concern going forward. That's where I think it's appropriate to keep them for longer than 30 days. I'm not sure that keeping them longer than a year serves I'm interested in what keeping them for longer than a year serves a transparency purpose. And if we think, well, maybe we want to extend it out to 2 years, like I'm open to that, but I do think that we have to like have a cutoff both for data concerns and also for other things that might come up.
Ms. Kamonian?
I think we need longer than 30 days, but I'd really like to not see longer than a year. And if someone has like a concern, they can call a board member and say, well, what made you like vote this way? Or what made you, have this, the way you made your decision or the way you voted. I think the official record of our meetings is the minutes, and those are housed indefinitely. I have gone back and looked at minutes because I wanted to know about something, and there was sufficient information for me to see who voted and the discussion, because there's summary of the discussion. I'd really like to see that these videos aren't up longer than a year.
Okay, we've had some comments. We do have a public comment. So Ms. Crystal Reynolds.
I'm going to go a little off of what I prepared. I believe it was Miss Blair that initially asked, just kind of wanting to know why the year. Was that you, Miss Blair? I'm sorry. Somebody asked, or maybe it was Miss Carrie about why the year. Well, I did speak to a board member this week, and one of the things I was told was that there was fears that litigation could come years later. And that, I mean, again, you can be sued at any time by anybody, but I just don't like that we're operating in this state of fear for all these decisions, when really it's simple. Transparency is key. If you want to build that bridge between the community and the board, we need transparency. And I'm thinking about too, our new superintendent Shram coming in, and I'm thinking about how great would it be if he had access to the last 2 years of videos during this COVID time, which was a tremendous event, and he's not going to even have access to that because it's all been pulled. And so I don't agree with taking anything down. I do understand the concerns with somebody later saying that, maybe something that they said and wanting to amend that or fix that. I think that we could be creative and look at other ways to do that. But I think taking the videos down and not keeping that indefinite, I think it brings up concerns with, again, I don't want to say this, but I think you're going to have some parents that are worried about censorship. You worry about those kind of things. And again, the transparency, just keeping everything out there and available. And again, somebody said it, I think at the last meeting about If you guys don't store it and house it or keep those videos, somebody else will. Well, I'll tell you right now, we have all the videos from last year. We're prepared to give those back to you if you guys want to post them, but we have all the videos. So again, somebody else is going to keep record of that. I understand the minutes. I get that. But again, it doesn't capture the meeting. It doesn't capture the tone of the meeting. It doesn't capture everything. And no offense to our local newspapers, but they don't always have the right spin on what's going on at these meetings either. So it would be nice if we had those videos up and available for anybody at any given notice. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, so any other comments from the board?
I guess, I know one of the concerns raised was around, what if somebody has a public records request and then, that does take away time from our staff with that, which I absolutely agree with, which is one of the reasons I was supportive of this idea to keep videos, indefinitely or longer, being that somebody could go themselves to whether we house the videos on our website or our YouTube page or both, and then find that video, go through, do that research themselves, find, the specific agenda item or topic that they wanted to learn about. And then that would avoid having one of our staff members having to go back, possibly dig through this archive, find that specific, snippet, et cetera. And so also in the sake of sort of efficiency. And so I just wanted to talk about that sort of rationale. So thank you.
Just if we're just kind of straw polling and seeing where we're at, I think I would be good with a year. I think the academic year, we do need, we're still in it. So kind of would be nice to have on there after that. I'm not sure. Obviously I'll go with the will if there's another reason, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Ms. Gamonian?
Yeah, I'm in the same place. I think a year is adequate. And I'm going to make a motion. Can I make a motion?
You can make a motion.
I make a motion that we revise board policy from 30 days to 1 calendar year.
And I'll second, and I agree, that makes the most sense.
Motion by Ms. Gamonian, second by Ms. Blair. All in favor?
For point of clarification, real quick, I just want to ensure this would be keeping videos for a year and then deleting them after, or was there any openness for archiving those videos in a separate place?
Is that possible, Chuck?
Yeah.
I
Did
have a
everybody hear
question
that?
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think because, and my concern again there, I think it's been brought up, is the records request. While, at times that's a good and necessary. I think that it is a tremendous amount of work when we do have minutes. And if it's that long ago, I feel the minutes should be significant or should be enough.
And just to give an example, because I think that can sometimes be helpful in working through something like this is, it's no surprise, right? We've had, for instance, like the ACLU thing, that any organization, if they're looking to sue the district, could submit a public records request, like we're looking for everything the district has that they've done to do like an equity thing, right? And so what you're indicating is like, well, they could go to our videos, but that's not what they're going to do. They're going to submit a public records request. So in addition to all of like our emails and our programs and all of that, then somebody would have to sift through every single video and pull out the 5 minutes where we had a presentation on that, or the 10 minutes where so that's sort of like what I mean by it can just balloon. Right. And so, but what my point of clarification was more that we've said calendar year and we've said academic year. What I'm indicating is that if a video like this video tonight was saved, that it would be saved until next April, whatever, 20. So it's like from the calendar year that it's posted, that it stay for a year, just to be clear.
Okay, so.
That's what I
Would you
meant.
mind?
Restating the motion?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
I make a motion that we change board policy from 30 days to 1 calendar year for keeping each meeting on YouTube. That makes sense?
Okay. Second again. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second motion by Gamonian, second by Blair. All in favor?
Board Member Case Beer Soleno,
Yes.
Board Member Gaby.
Yes.
I vote yes. President Guerrero,
Yes.
Board Member Naylor is absent. Board Member Villegas
I respectfully vote no.
and Board Member Blair.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 5, 1 no, and 1 absent.
Okay.
Mr. Guerrero? I'm trying to jump in so you don't adjourn the meeting. You do have a second read on the rest of the board policies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we do, then that would mean that we need to motion on the rest of the board policies, the balance of the policies.
I'll make a motion to approve the remainder of the board policies.
I will
Okay.
second.
Motion by Ms. Gaby, second by Ms. Kirschner Soleno. All in favor?
Board Member Gaby.
Thank you, Mrs. Smart. And yes.
I vote yes. Board Member Guerrero,
Yes.
Board Member Naylor is absent. Board Member Villegas.
Yes.
Board Member Blair.
Yes.
Board Member Case Beer Soleno.
Yes.
Motion carries 6, 1 absent.
There are no more items on the agenda. This meeting is adjourned.